better not have no plans tonight.
Movie time and it's feeling right.
You're looking for a love that lasts. You'll find it at Romance in the Podcast. Ooh, ooh, baby, you had me at hello. Ooh, I love you.
I know.
Ooh, ooh, baby, you're the wind beneath my wings. Ooh, I'll have what she's having.
Thank you for tuning into Romance in the Pod. You had us at hello. I'm Paige Wesley.
Oh, Mikey's not. I'm Todd. I'm Todd Schlosser, and this week joining us is
The other Mikey, Andrea Guzzetta.
the other Mikey. Her
The
vitamin
other
water
one.
picture is a little different, but just as impressive.
Yes. The other one who does the least amount of writing or research for the show.
I don't do any research or writing for this show either. All that is Paige. I just do all the aftercare, like the post-production
Yes.
work.
Yes.
And Mikey does the whole I'm too cool to listen thing. That's like his vibe.
Right.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys are ready because like I both watched this film and wrote the script for this episode unaware of what day or time it was because I'm severely jet lagged. I mentioned to a friend the other day who had also been traveling overseas. I was like, I feel like it's been Thursday for 3 days. And he was like,
And Paige, for you, it has.
he was like, I hate to tell you, it is Friday. like, not only are you wrong, you're extra wrong.
Yeah.
It was Thursday for at least 2 days, I think.
Well, that's because you were coming back from Germany. We should say that. I don't
Yeah.
think everyone
Yeah,
knows
yeah.
that. And I mean, but that's the reason I guess I'm the reason we are recording on Christmas Eve instead of the day before Christmas Eve. But we had to push this
because your
recording
power
back
went out.
until you got back from Germany. But
Yeah.
we were going to do it yesterday, and then Nashville decided that it didn't want to know how to handle like cold weather. So I lost
Right.
my power all day yesterday, more or less. And now we have it back, and we're good to go. Unless, we have more rolling blackouts.
Honestly, probably for the best, though, because we would have ended up recording this less than 10 hours from me arriving back in the States from Zurich, Switzerland.
And how long was that flight, Paige?
It was almost 12 hours.
Yeah, so you would have flown 12 hours, gotten 10 hours of a break to like sleep and try to acclimatize
Right.
yourself to your new time zone,
Right.
and then record again. Yeah, I think it's probably for the best we pushed it back.
I left at 1 p.m. Zurich time on the 22nd. I arrived at 4 p.m. USA time on the 22nd.
And 12 hours had passed.
And 12 hours had passed. So
This is the worst SAT question ever.
How many apples did Paige have?
She was coming from Zurich.
she's coming from Zurich. They're not famous for apples.
Yeah, I'm going to say zero apples, but a lot of fritters. I don't know what would be popular over there, but
Well, I did have 12 pretzels in 3 days, and I don't feel bad about it at all.
No, that is a dream. If you told me that your in-flight pillow was made of pretzel, I would be like, that sounds delicious.
it's a pillow you can eat.
Yeah, that would have improved my flight. I had 2 of some of the worst flights I've ever had, and I fly a lot.
Yeah, you're a woman about town.
I'm a woman about town, and by town, I mean
world.
It was worse than Southwest. Like,
How?
oh my God. Like,
Paige, how did they do it?
so like on the way there, it was an old plane is all I can surmise for like the root of this problem.
They flew on a B-17 bomber. That's how old it was, guys. It was a
It was
World War
paper.
II bomber. The tail gunner was having a hard time back there.
They didn't land. They just pushed them off the flight, and they had to parachute into Switzerland.
Yeah, Paige, honestly, I get it. That would be terrible. You don't have to want to enter Switzerland the way the Von Trapps wished they had entered Switzerland.
I just landed in Frankfurt on all 4 feet like a cat. They had to install some sort of cable box so that some of the like in-flight entertainment stuff would work, but that meant that we had no leg room at all. Like, you couldn't even extend your feet under the seat in front of you. But then on top of that, under my chair, there was like an Ethernet port for, I would assume, them to plug something in for the in-flight entertainment. And it extended like 6 inches past where my seat ended. So if you can imagine like the end of your seat, I couldn't put one of my legs back against my seat at all, but I also couldn't extend it under the other seat. So my foot was trapped.
And you're short.
I'm a short person. And so then I was like, well, what if I like move my leg to the side? Turns out the side of that cable box thing is sharp. So my leg is like covered in bruises from the stupid Lufthansa cable box.
I mean, Paige, we should just be grateful it was a short 12-hour flight.
So we land, and you don't get any phone calls or anything on the plane because their Wi-Fi is dog shit, and our entertainment thing didn't work. So we had to just like raw dog a 12-hour flight uncomfortable.
You mean the cable box they duct taped under your seat didn't provide adequate in-flight entertainment? Of course
It
not.
did not indeed, and the touchscreen on my screen was broken, so I couldn't select anything. So like we land.
You like open the cable box and you're like, this is Twister. This is not even electrical. What are we doing here?
Is this an abacus? Like I don't what?
This sounds like if Red Green wired cable for a plane.
Yes. So we land, phones come back on, and I suddenly have a bunch of messages and texts from the place where we have boarded the cat, which is never good. And I finally like get like a voicemail from them, but now it's like 3 a.m. US time. So like I can't call, I can't do anything about it. And their voicemail is basically like, please come get your cat. And I'm like,
Oh, no.
I am in Europe. Like I can't do that. What happened? So I'm like calling my aunt back here, and she's like got the flu, but she's like, I'm still gonna go because she's a superhero. And she gets there and she's like, okay, so they say that he attacked someone and they can't keep him. And I'm like, he is 8 pounds. Like, I don't understand.
He's a really sweet cat, too.
Yeah. So apparently they accidentally let him out while they were like cleaning his litter box, and they couldn't get him back in. And as they were trying to like corral him, he went off on somebody. But so they were like, he is hostile and he is a threat. And I'm like, okay. So my aunt had to like find a way to corral a cat that she's only met like twice into my parents' house. Meanwhile, I'm only getting snippets of this like
In between pretzels in Germany.
in between pretzels, because I can't, even when I can call people, I'm like, I hope someone's there at 7 p.m. because it's the one time we're both awake, or whatever.
Yeah.
So then in the middle of that, Jake got super sick and was sick for half the trip.
Oh, no.
And I'm like, do you want me to stay with you? Do you want to get a doctor? Like, whatever. And he's like, just go. Like, we go, at least one of us, just go. So if you notice, my sister posted a reel.
Yeah.
I responded to that reel.
Right. And it shows our trip. But as it goes on, you'll notice that Jake just disappears from it and then reappears back at the airport in Zurich. So, like, where poor Jake was super sick and had to just like muscle his way home on the flight until we could get him to the hospital here in the States, which is where I would have come from to record yesterday if your power had been active. So
thanks a lot, Tennessee.
Yeah, thanks TVA for fucking up yesterday. But yeah.
Yeah. All that to say, thanks for the break.
I tried and failed to mail a package all day yesterday, so I'm also glad that we're recording today.
Perfect. Well, it worked out well. We should probably say 15 minutes into recording that we saw the Princess Switch.
Did we see it? Or was it all a dream? I don't know.
Okay, but I need first thoughts. Like, had you guys seen this before, or was this your first time?
No.
This
is my first time, and it was purely because we discovered that it was linked to the movie we watched last week.
Same. I had not seen it either.
I believe this film was written by a cat accidentally stepping on a typewriter. Like,
I cannot disagree with you.
What is this film?
That is accurate.
I love that take, and honestly, it could have been my keyboard. I have a lot of cats, and they do love to sit on keyboards because they're warm, apparently.
Or it was written by John Lennon's ghost.
Well, I do think that the prince in this movie has been imagining John Lennon tie-in fucking his grandmother.
He loves his grandma.
He says, that's just how grandma did it, like 9 times. We get it, Prince Perv.
Can we also talk about the fact that there are 2 sequels to this film?
And this one came out in 2018. So in like 4 years, they released 2 movies, which I guess is very possible, but that seems quick.
It's Netflix.
I mean, that is true. You got to consider the quality of the film we're getting, and it's low.
I was going to say, if you look at the script, the time is not in the script.
No, or in the research for baking, because every time anyone bakes in this film, it is almost as if the person writing it has never watched anyone bake on TV, has never baked themselves. Once we get to the actual like baking competition, it's so mind-blowingly wrong.
Is it?
Yes.
Paige, we only get like 2 seconds of the competition.
And yet, in the 2 seconds, they get so much wrong, it makes the plot point that they tried to set up completely invalid.
What plot point? I mean, I didn't even realize there were plot points to have been messed up in this movie.
Do you want me to burn it right now? Because
Yes! Absolutely.
Yes.
Burn it to the ground.
Is it the puree thing?
that's one piece of it.
Okay.
So the villain of the movie cuts the cord on her KitchenAid mixer.
Paige, can I just say how much I love that part? Because that is the most obvious sabotaging that anyone could ever do.
Right?
In a room full of cameras, you idiot. And I realized it was like at night and the cameras weren't on, but like someone
Todd,
would be there to oversee the equipment, or they would have security cameras overseeing that equipment.
You can't just be sneaking in there cutting cords with the scissors that they use to open a car dealership, I assume.
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if you know this. That was actually Carlton from Fresh Prince opening that. What was it, a mixer or whatever? I don't know what Carlton from Fresh Prince is doing, but hopefully he's not doing mall openings.
I would hope
Oh
not.
my God.
Okay, so this is a little behind the scenes stuff that you may not know. When I worked for Sur La Table, I worked at the one in Mid-City, essentially the closest one to Hollywood. So a lot of people filmed in our store, like Master Chef, Top Chef, or whatever. I ended up on almost every like cooking competition with chef in the name show in the background at least like once a season for like 3 years.
Wow.
So first and foremost, on shows like that, and I would assume that even if this is only going to Belgravia cable, which I assume not, because everyone in the world seems to know about it, right? Like, I'm assuming this is the equivalent of like British Bake Off, basically, right?
Right.
So first and foremost, everything that they use is branded, and by that I mean the companies that make those items pay to have them on those shows.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
A really good example of this is KitchenAid on British Bake Off, because up until a couple years ago, it was so prohibitively expensive to buy KitchenAids in Europe. They didn't even use them on the show. They actually used Kenwood K mixes, which are great. They do the same thing.
I love Kenwood K. I feel like his mixes are like super fresh.
So
They're like
good.
in with the now. If
So
you don't have
amazing.
his SoundCloud, you're missing out.
All that to say, production knows about every single thing on that table, and they have people who are specifically tasked with making sure that nothing malfunctions, because they don't want it to look like it doesn't work on TV. They don't want it to look bad.
Well, and I get that Vanessa Hutchins may not have noticed it because just like the stress of the day of like being on
producer
camera,
would have,
being
though.
exactly though, Paige, exactly. Like
Yes.
someone from set deck or a producer who was like, "Hey, why is there one KitchenAid whose cord is
Literally
hanging
cut.
down, cut?"
Clearly cut.
Yeah.
They would have extras on deck for a
Oh
malfunction.
yeah, they have 30 mixers in case 2 go out. Like they have way
Yeah.
over
Oh.
redundancies. Yeah.
Those shows used to buy us out of mixers sometimes in a pinch, where like
Yeah.
they'd get a certain amount from the company who's sponsoring, but if they're worried about one going out or if they just want to have extra, they would just come and buy them. So like there absolutely would be extras. Somebody would have noticed it. So that aside, she goes to bake this cake, and when we cut back to her, ostensibly having finished half or more of this competition with a broken mixer because she has not raised any alarm about it, she has multiple layers frosted already. Now, if you're unfamiliar with baking a cake and how this works, let me break it down for you. First of all, you have to make the batter of the cake. That then goes in the oven. Spoiler, you use the mixer for that. That's what a
Right.
mixer does. So they literally, the first thing they would have turned on that fucking bench was that mixer. So the fact that she doesn't notice it till the end is maddening.
Well, because the puree goes in the cake.
Yes. Okay. So
It should be inside it already.
so the puree is for the middle of the cake. So essentially you would
Yes.
like bake those layers, right? Then you would have to let them cool so that you could put
Right.
the middle of the cake in, or the filling, which is where the puree
Right.
goes. So this movie posits that she only notices it when she goes to puree berries. Fun fact, KitchenAids, unless you have a food processor attachment, don't puree berries. It can't even do what they ever do. That's what a food processor is for. But also, if you had to choose one task in a competition setting of what am I going to, I don't have a mixer, what am I going to spend the time on? You would do it for the puree because the batter mixing would take so much long. That's what you need the mixer for. The puree, if you don't have a chopper or whatever, take the end of your whisk and just mash those berries and you will get to close to where you want to go.
Yeah.
But on top of that, this problem happens. Half her cake is already made and fondanted, which means she couldn't get to the middle of the cake because she has already frosted it. And so so she's like, what am I going to do for the middle of the cake? And she's like, I've only got 15 minutes. I was like, yeah, that's definitely a problem because your cake is assembled. You would have to cut your own cake open to get this middle in there. Why are we what is happening right now? So then they go to judge the cake. And admittedly, the fake cake they gave her is very pretty, very cool. The third place guy has done some chocolate work, which is very cool. That cake, the carousel cake, very cool. Then her rival gets second place. Her rival has done a topsy-turvy cake with spheres and piping to make them look like sweaters. It's so fucking complicated that I'm just like, that's the winning cake. I don't care that we're not supposed to root for her and she's an asshole.
When she's using gold and it's very
she's gold leafing.
Yeah. It's very an austere, rich white woman's Christmas.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Is that cake.
I think we all agree that Brianna got robbed. Yeah, I think we're all saying the same thing. Brianna totally got robbed. Yeah.
But Paige, did you notice that when the judges try her cake and are like, this is the best one, there are no bites out of that cake?
I'll do you one further because first of all, there's no slices out of the cake. There's no bites out of their slices. Where did the slices come from? But then on top of that cake, she just goes, your sugar work is commendable. There is not a single stitch of sugar work on that cake. It is not there. They don't know what sugar work means, clearly, because she has frosted the cake. She has done fondant. She has painted. She's done a bunch of other decorating. She has done no confectionery on this cake. And they're just commendable. But your puree could have been smoother. And I'm like, spoiler, it's the middle of a cake. No one would care. You could have full ass pieces of berry and they'd just be like, I love that it's rustic. It'd be fine.
You also, when you're making a puree, you heat it and you almost make it like a jelly. So it's you're heating it, you're adding sugar. So it kind of compotes. It becomes mush anyway. So it really doesn't matter how finely you chop it as long as you're chopping it enough that it can kind of break down in the heat.
Yeah. In that new saucepan that they had to buy, which again would never happen.
Welcome back to Belgravia's Best Cakes, where we break down all the episodes of the Great Belgravian Bake Off. I do want to point out that we have been talking about this show, this competition, longer than that whole plot line exists in the movie.
That's facts. That's so true. Oh my God.
It is such an afterthought. And I also want to point out that I recognize that you guys saw all of those problems. I saw none of that. Now I realize that is a level of privilege that I probably need to address, whatever. But
or the opposite, because you've never seen someone bake a cake, apparently.
Yeah, what?
Well, no, it's just such a small part. I was barely paying attention to that,
Todd is a little orphan boy. He's never had a cake before.
Well, no, I mean, but my mom has baked cakes. The women I have dated have baked cakes. And I've even helped bake cakes. Oh, and I've watched baking shows. When Paige was explaining all of that, I was like, yeah, all of that makes sense. And I know what she's talking about, mainly because I have a little bit of a crush on Paul Hollywood. I'm not necessarily willing to address publicly, but there's something about him I'm just super into.
With his steely blue eyes and inability to make Mexican food, yes.
I think it's that he is very confident in who he is and is just very comfortable.
Yeah, he's how I learned to say the word Stollen before I went to Germany.
I'm sure that came up a lot.
It was a lot. There's plenty of stolen around.
But outside of the Belgravian bake-off, what did you guys think of this movie?
Oh, this movie is balls to the wall bonkers.
Yeah.
It could have been 20 minutes shorter without just long glances between cast members.
This movie thinks that slow motion walking is chemistry.
Yes. Oh my God, yes. The whole time I'm just like, you're just like zooming in individually on the faces of characters that are not involved in this, and they're smiling, and you're like, we don't even need words. It's so powerful. It's like, it's just because you didn't write a script. What are you doing?
It's because the cat just like missed that part of the dialogue.
He
Yeah.
just is
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
ugh.
The cat was like, close on eyes, question mark. I also think the fact that this movie takes place over 3 days and ends in a wedding is baffling.
Well, okay, so if you
Bonkers.
include the wedding, it actually takes place over a year
Over
and
a
3
year
days.
and 3 days.
But yeah, no, the fact that they fully fall in love and are like, we're going to switch our lives completely from everything
Right.
we've known for the whole life for just what we've experienced the past 2 days. Here's the deal. The prince is not always going to be like that. That is his first 2 days of meeting the woman he has to marry. He's definitely being nicer to her than he is
He's
to
on a 10.
everybody else. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you
yeah.
saw Kevin's abs, I kind of get it.
Okay,
I
who's
mean,
Kevin?
Kevin's the best friend, and I do
Yeah.
get it.
Oh, honestly, when he took his shirt off, I was like, yeah, I'd give up being a duchess for that. Like, if I was into dudes,
Yes. Yes.
he's a well put together gentleman. I understand
Yes.
why he has a daughter. You know what I'm saying?
The funniest part to me is he's like, you know, we can't afford ballet lessons. I'm like, you could be a model tomorrow. Just take your shirt off in the street. People will give you money. Like, what are you talking about?
You heard it here first. If you're hot, Andrea
Starting
wants you
over.
to take off your shirt in the streets.
The streets of Chicago are that cold. Your nipples will look fantastic.
Yeah. Or people could use them to like chip away at ice on their windshields or something.
Either way, you're making money, Paige.
That's what I call full service. Am I right, ladies?
I'm 100% sure if I went out here where it is way below freezing and there's a lot of ice problems, if I was like, hey, ladies, let me just knock off some of your ice on your windshield with my nipples, I would get arrested. But like,
Yeah.
maybe it's just a level of hotness. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm not up to that level.
In fairness, Todd, they'd be like, why is that child look like he's 40 years old?
Why is he trying to knock ice off my windshield while still wearing a full shirt?
Yes.
It's my nipple shirt.
Okay, Ed Gein. Damn.
No, I meant like, it's like a regular like plain white tee with like a cutout for just my nipples.
Oh,
It's
like
the
Mean Girl
final
style.
layer.
Yeah, Mean Girl
Okay.
style.
Yeah.
Like Regina George bought army pants and flip-flops, so I bought army pants and flip-flops.
And I bought a nipple shirt.
Okay, Ed Gein.
I couldn't figure out why he was in the movie, like why he went to Belgravia and whatever with them, because I was like, clearly he has to stay and run the bakery and she's going to switch or whatever.
Nah, they just closed that shit down.
Yeah, the single dad requirement for Christmas films, which is so strange to me that that's such a thing.
It really is, though.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fact that at the beginning of the film, this old lady comes into their shop. They showed the scene. The scene is
Yes.
downtown Chicago. It is the most expensive part of Chicago.
Yeah.
So their rent there is thousands of dollars. And they're like, you're Chicago's best kept secret. Like, what are you talking about? You're downtown.
You're like on Golden Avenue or whatever that place is called. Like, it's expensive to like be
Yes.
there. Yeah.
She's running a business like it's an elementary school bake sale, and it's maddening. It's
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
And she doesn't even know where cake filling goes.
Oh my God. Or how to use a mixer. Girl, get it together.
Hey, is that black cord that's hanging down that's clearly been cut, is that going to be a problem?
Oh no.
Maybe she just made Kevin mix all her batters, and that's how he had those sweet guns.
That makes a lot
I mean,
of sense.
he is her sous chef, and she is sort of not great to him. She's like, oh, Kevin? You mean that basic dude? It's going to be weird to keep them apart because they literally are the same person. Just one of them has a maybe offensive accent.
Right?
The generic German.
It's vaguely Scando-European-avian. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like that.
They even call it out in the film. They're like, do I sound like Downton Abbey? It's like, I mean, but a
Yeah,
shitty
kind
version,
of.
yes.
You sound like if Downton Abbey got a dent in his head, but yeah.
Yeah. One time Kathy Griffin described Uma Thurman's accent as being from Europea, and I feel like that describes every accent in this film.
Yes.
Of like,
Yeah.
it's not from any one specific place. I will say that the most offensive offensive version of it is the carolers in the market, who are clearly Americans who have been instructed to sing as if they had learned English as a second language.
Yeah.
But also, I do love a fake European country. I think it's one of the funniest things rom-coms do.
Yeah, like
Yes, it's so
Genovia,
great.
Belgravia.
Yeah, this may as well be Genovia. It is basically the same thing.
I thought it was Genovia.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote in my notes until I watched it the
Genovia.
second time this morning. We're going to take a city that exists and add Avia to the end and be like, that's a new country. Run it.
Which is not too far off because I'll burn some fun facts because most of the fun facts are about the web of connected films in this universe that broke my brain. So Belgravia is actually Romania. They shot everything in Romania, including the scenes that are supposed to be Chicago.
That makes 1,000% sense. Yeah.
Except for the opening shots of Chicago where they show like the lions and the statues.
They didn't even shoot that. That is B-roll of Chicago that has been used in multiple other Netflix
That makes
films.
sense.
Now,
That does not
figured.
surprise me at all.
on top of that, they then used stock footage of multiple other European places whenever they would cut to like establishing shots to try to show where they were. Because there literally is just like one side is that square where their houses and those shops are, and the other side is like the other part of the square with the toy store, air quotes, and then there's an actual like castle / mansion because they film it in
Yes.
an actual castle.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, so that's how they're doing this. Is just like they're filming all in one place, mostly on sound stages, and then they're just putting establishing photos or stock images or stock footage over stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Hey, maybe we should get into it so we can go through it scene by scene.
Yeah, let's do
Let's
it.
do
I
it.
have thoughts.
Yeah.
We open with fake Christmas music, and it's time for me to burn another fun fact. Because if you've listened to my episodes on The Night Before Christmas or A Castle for Christmas or many of the other Netflix and or Hallmark Christmas films, you will know that one of my favorite things that they do is that they cannot get the rights to actual Christmas music, and so they make fake Christmas music. But there's something
Yes.
unique about this one. First of all, it slaps. Secondly, it is sung by the Prince, and
What?
you can buy it. Yes, you can buy it on iTunes. I can't confirm it slaps. Fun fact: he also did it for the next movie.
Hell yeah. He like Will Smithed it.
He Will Smithed it.
That's amazing.
Yes,
Just the two of us.
we can make it if we try.
Just the
Yep.
two of us. The princess
You
and
and
I.
I. I'm gonna pull up the name. Under the Tree is the one from the next movie.
Oh, I love that one. Under the tree. Under the tree. Sorry.
Even the next movie where they just randomly replace a child too.
Oh, do they? I have not seen the next one.
Yeah, that is a whole different child. I didn't see the next one. I just saw a trailer for it. I'm like, that's not the same kid.
Yeah, Bring the Snow is the one from this movie. And apparently that actor, Sam Palladio, is also on Nashville, so he like can sing and has done a bunch of country music.
Oh, that explains a lot about his look.
Yes, it does. But honestly, Bring the Snow fucking slaps. I was like, this is a banger. Like, why isn't this as popular as other Christmas stuff? Because no one's heard of it because it's just in this random ass movie. Anyway, you're welcome. So we open on her being a baker.
Fun update to something that Andrea said a second ago. They did replace who played Olivia
Of course.
in the second movie. In the first movie, it was played by Alexa Aoson. I probably butchered that last name, so sorry. But she was replaced by Mia Lloyd in the second movie.
Interesting. I wonder if she got too old.
That could be.
Anyway, so this is where we meet Olivia. Olivia is the girl's name, right?
Yeah, that's Kevin's daughter's name. Yeah.
Right. So we meet Olivia, and she and Kevin have conspired to enter American Vanessa Hudgens. I couldn't keep track of her names.
I couldn't either. Oh, Margaret is the princess name.
Great.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's Margaret and Stacy. So it's Stacy
Stacy.
DeNovo
Stacy.
was Chicago.
Yeah, that's what it is. So they've conspired to enter her in a fancy baking competition, which, by the way, would take months to prepare for.
So
but they
long.
should just leave now on Friday in a completely different country. You better hope she has her passport. Like, it's a whole thing.
Right?
I didn't even think about that, but it would take like 6 weeks to get a passport.
You can get a rush one in 24 hours if you live in a metropolis, but it is
Okay,
a
I wasn't
task.
aware you could get them that fast. Okay.
You can, but you have to like appeal to the state and stuff.
Oh, yeah. You have to like go to the embassy and like it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
My favorite part about this moment, too, is she's like, my ex and I had so many traditions. We were together for 3 years. I'm like, what did you do before that? That's not that long. This is not that long.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like that's something I get made fun of for a lot.
Yeah,
so
all the
rude,
time.
First off. Secondly, traditions have to start somewhere. So like, even if it's only been 2 years.
Right, but you don't have traditions before that with other family members that you could
Exactly.
be like, let's run that back.
Yeah.
You've known Kevin since high school. You were in a relationship for 3 years.
Yes, you and Kevin clearly have traditions.
I mean, she works with Kevin. I'm assuming she sees Kevin almost every day, right?
They've been best friends since high school,
Yeah.
according to the film. So like, yeah, girl.
We will have to address.
The fact that they definitely fucked once and it just didn't feel right, so they have like not talked about it for 10 years.
They are fully sharing Kevin.
Yeah, they both have had Kevin.
Yeah, that absolutely. That was in my mental headcanon for sure. But also, when she meets Brianna and talked about how she knows Brianna, we will need to address that timeline because of a very real news story that, again, someone writing a movie about it should have Googled.
What?
I don't think you understand like the level this movie is at. Like the fact that you think any research was being done is astounding to me. Cats can't Google. They can only write scripts with their little bean toes.
But I guess the reason it struck me so much is because this movie ostensibly is being written by someone in America 3 years after a huge news story that would drastically impact the character's backstory that they have given them.
What?
We'll get to it. I'll reveal it when we get there.
Awesome.
Okay.
Can't wait.
Anyway, so she's like, I don't want to be on TV and be famous so my bakery will be successful. I'm sad about breakup. Girl, get your ass to Europe. Like, why is this
For
even a
real.
question?
I would be gone so fast. I'd be like, oh no.
Like
Fuck you
I would
forever.
understand not wanting to like date or whatever, but like I
Sure.
don't want to take a vacation. I'm sad. It's bonkers to me.
Also, what you should do is you should get your face on a billboard
Yep.
right outside your ex's house. Like, that
Yep.
is the way to break up, you know?
Yeah, success is the best revenge. Like, I don't
Absolutely.
understand. I'm confused. And maybe I'm just a competitive enough person that I'm like, I have to break him or whatever, that like I'd be like, yeah, I will go to Europe and be the most famous ever and probably mac on some dudes with some hot accents while I'm at it. Like, this is the perfect plan.
She could not have written this movie better. Like, this might be like a Jacob's Ladder situation that happened to Vanessa Hudgens, like right after like they broke up or whatever. She's like, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to win a gravy competition in Belgravia and marry their prince. Eat a dick.
Yeah. Suck my dick.
And if like, here's the thing, she's an American commoner who's going to marry a prince, because this movie at no point is like, oh, let's keep up the facade that you're Margaret. They're like, no, you're just some random lady because we did this in front of a whole room of people.
I was really hoping it was going to be like, what's the movie with the red-headed girl when we were little? Where they're
Parent Trap.
twins. Yeah, The Parent Trap. Where they're split up and then they're actually related.
Right.
Like, that's the only way that makes sense because they are identical. So the chances of just like, we have an aunt in common. Like, we have
Yes.
brothers and sisters that don't look like us. What are you talking about? That's not how genetics works.
Well, and okay, so she's a commoner marrying into royalty, right? That's going to be fucking front page news. So
Yeah. If I learned anything from the Netflix documentary about Meghan and Harry, like,
Yes.
she's also going to have to deal with some terrible UK tabloid press for sure.
Right.
oh yeah. And she's going to have to finally realize how racist her new family is. And so like,
Exactly.
Oh, God. Those documentaries are heartbreaking.
we didn't even get into the part where her new great uncle has been raiding that orphanage for years, but like, whatever.
Right. Like, oh, we don't have enough money for presents, just the essentials, but we have a ball every year? Are you
Yup.
kidding me?
Yeah. Anyway, so she's like, no on the contest. Which, have either of you ever had somebody like enter or volunteer you for a TV show?
No.
Like a reality show that you then have had to then talk to the reality people about?
Yes, I have, Paige.
Have
What?
you?
Yes.
It's happened to me twice.
It was while I was in California. It was not here. I was in San Diego at the time, though. And
Without your permission or knowledge?
Once was with my knowledge. The first one was without my permission or knowledge, yes.
I actually had a meeting with some producers for a TV show that I do not want to talk about, but they met with me and my girlfriend at the time.
Was it a couple?
And we decided...
Was it Love on the Spectrum? No, I'm joking.
No, it was not that.
Was it a show called We're About to Break Up Because She's Cheating on You?
No, it was not that type of reality show, although in hindsight, that'd have been great. If it was just like Cheaters wants to meet with you, Todd, about being on their show. Wait, I'm not cheating. Damn
They
it.
pull up in a van. They just grab you into the van. You're like, what's happening? They're like, this is your girlfriend. They show you like on a TV screen.
It'd be terrible. But no, that is not the show. The show was called, and I'm not making this up, Sex Sent Me to the ER.
Todd, what? What did you do?
I'm not making this up.
Todd, which one of you had to go to the ER?
Yeah, which one of you had to go to the ER?
Neither of us.
Todd!
So, no, neither of us.
okay.
They literally told us that they would give us a story. They just liked our vibe. And like,
We've been watching you from across this bar and we like your vibe. Do you want to pretend like you have a sex injury?
I mean, that pretty much is what it was. But it wasn't a bar. It was at Comic-Con. I remember it. Like, they came up to us. Yeah.
Yeah, so when I'm dressed as Naruto, I just fuck so hard. I go like Super Saiyan, basically. That my dick center the emergency room. It's no big deal.
So I was like Hayukin into her. And she was like really into it.
These Dragon Balls made her Z, if you know what I'm talking about.
I'm just picturing a dick the size of the Final Fantasy swords, just like big and square.
Yeah, dog.
One, I think I probably talked about a little bit when Jake and I got married. There was a show that became something else entirely, but it was supposed to be like drag queens plan your wedding. And so many people nominated us that the producers called us and were like, we have gotten more letters and, entries or whatever about you than anyone else. Who the hell are you?
That's so funny.
And we got to the final round.
Oh.
I think our wedding was too close. Like the date didn't line up because they kept having pushbacks or whatever. So, but we had gotten to the point of it was between us and another couple and the other couple got it. Whatever. But before that, when I was in college, one of my college roommates signed me up for Flavor of Love without telling me.
Oh no.
Because she never thought anything would come of it. She's like, what are the odds, right? She's thought like it, and probably drunk, honestly. Like if we're being
Sure.
real. I can picture it happening because we lived in an apartment off campus with, it was her and her boyfriend at the time, and then our friend and then me. And so like it was the four of us, and I can absolutely see them, like I have already gone to bed or something that night, and she's up with her boyfriend like, wouldn't it be funny if, and did it and then forgot about it until they called, and she like had to then come clean because the producers were calling. And she was like, hey, VH1 is on the phone. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? And she was like, it's because I entered you for Flavor of Love. Here's what I told them. Because she'd given them like a fake story.
Yes.
And she was like, do you want to talk to them? I was like, no, not really. And she was like, just talk to them. So I talked to them for like 20 minutes on the phone. And that was it. Like, they never called us again.
That's fantastic.
I guess the moral of the story is enter your friends
Lie
for
to
reality
VH1
shows.
producers.
I get
Oh,
lie to
yeah.
VH1
Sorry.
producers.
Sorry. Yeah. What you said is probably more accurate. My bad. Yeah.
Sure.
I have been watching a lot of, oh shit, what show was that?
Oh, Too Hot to Handle.
Stupids Fall in Love. Yeah, Too Hot to Handle.
What?
God, it's so good. Watch it. You should watch. I've watched all 4 seasons on Netflix. It's so terrible.
Andrea, as someone who is Demi, this show will confuse you in a way probably more than anyone.
It is Yeah. Okay. That is usually the issue that I have when I've watched like The Bachelor and stuff.
Yeah.
And when people are like, I'm so in love with you, I'm like, you've known this person for 2 days. He is making out with 10 other women that you share a house with. What are you talking about? Like, what? It's just so confusing.
Let me lay out the premise to Too Hot to Handle for you.
Okay.
We're just going to launch this at your face and see what happens to your face. Okay.
Oh,
so,
no.
Too Hot to Handle puts 10 Instagram hot people on an island together.
Oh, no.
And gives them a cash prize of $100,000 if they can last for, it's like 6 weeks, Todd?
It's over a month. I know it's over a month because I heard like in some of the episodes they're talking about how we've been here for a month already. Like,
Yeah.
Is it 6 weeks without having sex?
Not only not having sex, not masturbating, not having physical contact with other humans, but then on top
that's a
of
crime.
yeah, that is a crime.
That's actually a crime. That's actually a form of torture.
you can choose to leave at any time.
Yeah.
And I should say romantic interact. Like you could hug somebody.
You could
and
hug someone. Okay, I'm cool with
Yeah,
that.
you'd be fine.
I'd be licking faces and just doing weird shit. Like, try and score that, Lana.
You can't hug someone's dick with your mouth though. Like that, that's.
Paige, I would win this game.
I know.
He's so good at this
But
game.
Andrea, here's the catch. That prize is cumulative. So it's not just you. Everyone has to do it. So there's deductions for any time anyone does anything.
I can tell already Andrea would be the accountant in her season, for sure.
I would have been the accountant in my season. I would have been like, I want a jet ski and you guys are ruining it. Like it would just,
I would walk around with a little device, like
and just leave
it would
room for the Holy Spirit.
Yeah, it would be a little flag that unfurled that said "Leave room for Jesus." Yeah,
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it is bonkers to me how many people are just like, I just can't do it. I can't not lick that girl's butt. Like, whatever.
That's an actual line from the show, Andrea.
No, it's not.
No, I was just joking. But it might as well be, because it is like stupids fall in love, and it's adorable.
Yeah.
Although, Paige, I watched Chloe's season, and she is
I love
everything.
Chloe.
She's insane.
Chloe's nuts.
They're literally bringing new people to the island, and she's like, she turns to her whole cast and goes, don't tell them I'm stupid. Like, she literally said that. And it's just like, I think she 100% meant it, but she is like just so good-natured about her level of intellect.
Yeah.
Like it is
so great.
It comes across as so charming. Like I was
That's
a huge
actually
fan
really
of hers.
sweet.
Yeah.
Todd,
Yeah.
you now have to go watch her on The Circle.
I will.
You
I
have
absolutely
to.
will. You said it was season 2. I remember.
It's
I
season
just
2.
edited that episode. So yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, season 2 where she plays herself.
And then someone
my
comes in
God.
and catfishes her as her husband, right? And she falls for it.
Yeah.
What?
Listen, she told us in Too Hot to Handle season that she was dumb. Like she already told us.
Well, no, in her defense, the Circle, you can play as yourself or you can catfish. And so there's a woman catfishing and she's playing as her own husband, right?
Oh, I thought she was playing as Chloe's husband.
That's what I
No,
thought.
that would have been
I was like,
hysterical.
how did you not fucking notice,
Okay,
bro?
then she's a lot less dumb than I thought. Okay,
Yeah, no,
because I
for sure.
thought Chloe's husband was like the person that girl was catfishing her to be. Okay.
Chloe is not married, but she is best friends with the Irish girl from Too Hot to Handle. And on Instagram, they're amazing. Where they just like, they're like at a party somewhere together and they're like, sober sisses, yay! Because
for
now they
them.
both don't drink. It's great for them,
That's
obviously.
actually, yeah, I love that for them.
Invested in their success.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
know you're kind of dumb, maybe not drinking is a good choice.
And her dad had battled with addiction, so she used like a portion of her winnings to start an addiction center in her hometown. So
Oh,
like
that's good for her, man. That's awesome.
there are parts of her that are good. I'm sure
That's
not all
sweet.
of her. I'm sure there are parts of her that are maybe not great. Not sure.
Oh, you haven't heard about the Chloe dogfighting scandal, Paige? No, I mean, I don't know anything about her other than what I've seen and what you've told me. And she seems like a great sort of silly person.
Yeah. Hi, it's me, Chloe. Yeah.
We should move
Chloe.
the fuck on, though.
We gotta
I
move
know,
on.
I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
Wait, did we watch a movie that we're talking about? I thought we were talking about Too Hot to Handle.
Yeah. I'll skip a little bit ahead, but I do want to touch on something. So this movie does this thing where it uses like idioms and common sayings and phrases, like the kind of shit you would find on an Instagram post over the face of Marilyn Monroe or that guy who ran the Rajneeshi cult.
Or just a girl's booty at the beach.
or a girl's booty at the beach, and makes them into some sort of significant moment in the movie constantly.
Oh my God, yes. It's just one quote, Paige.
It's multiple, but specifically the quote, "Life is what happens when you're busy making other plans." The movie attributes this to John Lennon, and this is incorrect. The reason it is often attributed to John Lennon is because it's a lyric from a song that he released in 1980. However,
Wait, you're saying that John Lennon stole some of his lyrics or possibly musical style or possibly an entire album from other people? That's crazy.
yeah, I know, crazy. But it's not necessarily that as much as he's referencing an existing saying in that song, but nobody remembers that it was an existing saying because he's more famous than anybody. That expression can actually be traced back to the 50s, where it was published as part of a list of quotable quotes in Reader's Digest. And it's been attributed to half a dozen other people. Like
Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, it's such a basic quote. Like, there is a quote that constantly gets attributed to Abraham Lincoln that's "whatever you are, be a good one." But that's also attributed to like 6 other people because it's so vague. And who's to say if Lincoln wasn't saying it because he heard it somewhere else?
Exactly.
Anyway, it is one of those quotes that it is impossible to truly know who said it, but it's definitely not John Lennon. And again, a simple Google search could have solved this.
But
Absolutely.
again, cats can't Google. So, I mean, that's just not going to happen. Yeah.
I guess.
Although I did enjoy hearing someone other than me talk shit about a Beatle. That was fun.
I have strong feelings about the Beatles and how they stole a lot of their early albums, especially from Black artists who were never credited, attributed, or given any royalties from.
To be fair, all white artists at the
Yeah, that's
time.
true.
Like, this is not just a
That's
Beatles
true.
problem.
Yeah, that was just like the start of
Elvis.
rock and roll.
Also, they did it badly. That's what makes it the worst for me, is I'm like, not only did you steal it, but it's bad and I hate it. So why is my stepdad still talking about you every day? I don't get it.
I like some of it, but also recognize that, yes, it is appropriative. Anyway, moving on for this movie.
Yes.
She's like, "No, I'm not going to Europe," and then walks down the sidewalk and sees her ex and a brand new girl that he's taken to meet his parents. And she's just like, "No, we'll never get back together. I'm definitely doing something cool over Christmas. I'm going to go to Belgravia."
It's sort of a shitty situation because his new girlfriend is like inside a shop and he's like waiting for her outside and he runs into Chicago VH, right? Which is Chicago Vanessa Hudgens. I don't know what else to call her.
Correct.
But
Stacey.
they run into each other, right? And he's like, "Hey, I've been thinking about you a lot." And she was like, oh, me too, or whatever.
He brings up a holiday memory that they shared that is clearly intimate.
Yeah, it's clearly
It's
a sex memory.
for
It's
sure.
clearly a sex thing.
Do you remember how much we destroyed that hot tub and pool table? Like, that was the
Yeah.
vibe of that conversation.
Yeah.
What a bizarre thing to say to an ex when your new girlfriend is in a shop.
New girlfriend who you're taking home for Christmas. I mean, I would say,
Right?
like, if you're dating somebody, you've been dating for 2 weeks and you're just out shopping for Christmas, it's a little bit of a different vibe, but he is like in a serious relationship with her.
Clearly.
Right.
Yeah. And he was like, "Hey, remember that time we boned all weekend? It was great.
Yes.
By the way, here's my new you. How do you feel now? Oh, wait, you're going to go to Belgravia and do some competition thing? Cool. Have fun."
Cool.
That's the vibe of this scene.
Yeah.
Well, and literally she's like, "I'm going to Belgravia." Cut to on a plane to Belgravia.
Yeah.
After you just told Kevin you couldn't. What a bitch.
Right.
I do like
Yep.
that, like, Kevin knew, like, because he bought those
Yeah.
tickets months ago.
Yes. But he didn't want to give her an opportunity to say no. Now it's like, now you have to. Ha ha.
You have no idea how long it took Kevin to convince her ex-boyfriend to go stand outside that store to guilt her into going. Like, Kevin is playing 4D chess right now, and I'm here for
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Which, can we also admit that Paul, her ex-boyfriend, is the blandest bland of Blanderson? And like, why would you care that bad if like
He just looks like the prince, but uglier.
I mean, she clearly has a type. Yeah.
A white guy with a beard in Chicago? What are we to do? There aren't any more of them. Have you been to Chicago? It's a lot of that guy.
throw a rock hard stale cupcake on the street and you will find 4 more.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they arrive in Belgravia, where we get our first taste of generic European accents. Because you see
Paige,
the carolers
we have
for the
to-
first time. Oh, we have to talk about the bell ringer.
Yes, exactly.
She meets a magical bell ringer.
Just an old man wearing a cabbie hat.
Yeah. While she's still in Chicago.
while she's still in Chicago.
Yeah.
Now, here's what I couldn't fucking figure out. Because movies like this, as we have covered on this show, almost always have a real Santa at play that just looks like a generic guy that kind of looks like a Santa. Why they chose to do Salvation Army bell ringer instead of Santa, I will never fucking understand.
Oh, you mean why wasn't he dressed as Santa when he was a Salvation Army bell ringer?
No, but why didn't they just make it Santa? Like, that guy
Yes.
is clearly not Santa.
Or he's someone magical.
Yeah, he's someone magical, but no one explains how or why. Maybe he's their Uncle Cecil or whatever.
You have no idea how expensive it was for Kevin to fly that guy from Chicago to Belgravia on the red eye to get there the next day. Like, guys, it is Kevin playing 4D chess. He's pulling all these strings.
Damn, Kevin, life is what happens when you're making other plans.
Yeah, he just goes that life is what happens to you. Which also, okay, as a woman in the street sometimes, random men, especially older men, feel very entitled to give you, a stranger, advice about your dating life. Unprompted. Completely unprompted.
Just someone you've never met does that?
Someone
Yeah,
I've
all the
never
time.
met.
That is insane. I'm so sorry that happens.
And I'm married, Todd, and this still happens to me.
But what happens is old men do that, and I just ignore them. Like, if
Yeah,
someone
same.
speaks
Should.
to me and I don't know them and they're offering me random advice about my body, my lifestyle, dating, I literally will just walk away with no response.
Yeah, that's the right way to handle it.
They get very angry, and it is very funny. It is hilarious.
I wouldn't say anything to them because we don't have any sort of gun control in this country and it's insane out there. So, like, just walking away is probably
Yeah.
the best way to handle that. But honestly, if you're an old
Absolutely.
man or anyone who's giving a stranger unsolicited romantic relationship advice, fuck right off. Like, no, you don't know
Absolutely.
that person's life.
Yeah.
What the hell?
My husband just died. That is always the second go-to answer.
Oh my
husband
God.
just died.
That is what you should say if you say anything at all. Just like if you can force yourself to break down in tears, do that. And then be
Yes,
like,
absolutely.
my husband just died, you monster.
I can cry on cue. So
Hell yeah.
Then he'll probably be like, oh, so you're single then.
Oh,
Like,
no, it backfired. Run away again. Run away.
for me, I always get told to smile more is the one that I get a lot.
give me something to smile about, you unfunny bitch.
Yeah. Smile more and lose weight. Those are the ones
Oh,
that I get from
fun.
strangers.
That's great.
It's like, fuck you. I'm going to eat extra cheese now. Anyway,
Hell yeah.
so we cut to them walking around what is supposed to be a Christmas market. Having just come back from them. This is what Americans believe a Christmas market is, and they are very wrong.
I was going to say, this is the best Christmas market you can build on a Netflix soundstage.
Yeah.
Like, that is the version of a Christmas market we're getting. We're not getting a real one, no.
No, not at all. But they're like making ornaments. I will say one of the coolest. I mean, first of all, Christmas markets are super rad. If you get the chance to go. Very
Do it.
Highly recommend. Anyway, this is where they're kind of finding out what's going on, where they're like, oh, so the Duchess is supposed to be there at the bake thing. We have to like go set up the stuff. We have to check the equipment. Like, we're going to tour the set. And as they're walking around, Olivia sees their like child ballet thing.
Yeah.
Where she's like, I want to dance with them in the summer program, which, by the way, will be mentioned and then immediately abandoned.
Absolutely. How did she hear about the summer program?
They sort it out. I mean, because that's like the payoff for the
Right.
Duchess to be able to fuck Kevin.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile,
I'm sorry. I heard Andrea go, and then I realized that Kevin looks a lot. I don't even know if you're still dating, but the guy I met at
Yeah, Brandon.
yeah.
We are still
so
dating.
they look a lot alike. Like Kevin and Brandon
They
look
look
a lot
very
alike.
similar.
So,
They
like,
do.
Andrea clearly has a type. By the way, thought he was great.
Fantastic. We're going to hang out later. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
we cut to the studio where they're looking over all of the stuff for the production. I have no idea where the child that's with them has gone or who is watching her, but whatever.
Yeah, just let my child wander around in a foreign country alone.
A European town, yeah.
This is fine.
I've never seen Taken. This is probably going to work out all right.
We never had to call Liam Neeson.
Also, let's talk about how Kevin and Olivia are the only non-white people in
this
this
film?
country.
Well, they're in Belgravia. I mean, have you never been to Belgravia? It's a pretty white country.
Right. So, like, the idea that they're traveling there and not every single person is taking a photo with them at every, you know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm a white person. I've been to India. If you go to India, random people will just want to take a photo with you because you're white, because they haven't seen white people. Especially if you're outside the larger cities. Like, I can't imagine, like, it goes that way. Like, in Japan, if you go to Japan and you're black, people will, like, want to take photos with you.
Yeah.
No one even, like, bats an eye at this, and they experience no racism whatsoever, which is very difficult to believe.
Well, I mean, this is like a Hallmark movie. They're not going to
Sure.
tackle racism in a
No,
Hallmark movie.
I think what a part of it is, because I experienced the same thing when I was in Morocco for the first time 15 years ago. People didn't take pictures with me, but they wanted to like touch my hair and my dress a lot.
Yep.
Anyway, so I think it's because all of the extras are probably local Romanians.
Absolutely. They probably don't speak English at all either.
Yes. Yeah. Kind of like we covered this when we did Knight's Tale, where most of the extras don't speak English. And that's why there's hardly any extras with any speaking roles. Like there's no featured extras, really. It's just our main characters. And so I think that also accounts for the look. I would assume that there are also Romanians who are not white, but I'm pretty sure that when it's Hallmark and they're just like, who can we get?
Yeah. Hey, who do we know in Romania? Like, that's what happened when they were deciding who's going to be the extras in this movie.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So as they're setting up in the studio, this is the first time we meet Brianna, her rival.
Oh, yes.
And this is where we have to talk about a news story that would have impacted the backstories of these characters in this film. Now, we know that this is ostensibly taking place in 2018, right? Which meant that she and Kevin would have graduated high school the same time I did. Now, if they immediately went to culinary school after, great. Then this works out. But one would assume that's not the case necessarily because of how long they've had their business, where she's the best kept secret, but they've only had their catering business or their baking business for like 3 to 5 years. So one might assume that she did that like right after culinary school. Here's where we have to talk about it, because Brianna, she claims that they met at Le Cordon Bleu. Now, in Europe, Le Cordon Bleu still exists, and it's not a bad school. Like that is not what I'm going to say. I have a lot of friends who went. They're all fantastic cooks. Great. But in America, all Le Cordon Bleus closed in 2015 because they were considered a for-profit trade school that couldn't back up their placement statistics, where they would say 90% of our students, get jobs or whatever.
My art school did that.
Yeah.
My art school said 90% of our students get jobs. What they did not add was
where
in their field. A lot of them worked for the school and were bad at their jobs because they had an art degree and they should not have been a guidance counselor.
Yeah.
Anyway, don't worry about it.
I remember my girlfriend worked at University of Phoenix at that time. Like the one that
Yep.
cheated on me, she's no longer there, but yeah. So did Manny. Manny worked there too.
But so there was a federal regulation that passes in 2015. Now, what they did allow people to do is do what's called a teach out. So they were allowed, if you were in progress, some schools allowed you to complete.
Yeah.
Which, if that's the case, great. But the idea in this movie that they're bragging about having been to Le Cordon Bleu, I'm like, unless you went to the European one. Like,
right.
First of all, look around. If you're in America, everyone went to Le Cordon Bleu because there's no entrance, barrier to entry.
Just like when I went to college. I mean, I didn't go to Le Cordon Bleu, but I went to a state school.
This person just Googled baking school.
Yes.
And then that was the first thing that came up. And they're like, got it. That sounds fancy as shit.
And that first thing that came up was FBI's raids offices of Le Cordon Bleu. But they didn't look into it anymore. They were just like, oh, okay, cool. It's fine.
Well, and here's the thing. Again, Le Cordon Bleu, their business practices, not great. Instruction, fine. They have put out many successful people. That's great. But you probably should have used a fake school name.
Yes.
In this movie, especially around this time when this came out, because this would have been only less than a year after the teach out completed, where some people just were unable to get their diplomas and stuff. So
I do love that there are people who are pissed at Le Cordon Bleu, seeing this movie, throwing their spatulas at the screen, what the fuck? I hate that school.
Just throwing raspberry puree.
Although maybe that explains why she doesn't really know how to bake in this movie.
That would make so
Like,
much sense, actually.
She didn't get to teach out.
There you go.
I do think it's a little bit rude that Vanessa in this movie totally outs that Brittany was fucking one of their teachers. Like, that is
Yes.
rude.
Oh my
Brianna,
God.
you mean?
What
Yeah,
the
yeah,
fuck?
yeah.
Wow. I totally get why Brianna hates Vanessa Hutchins. Vanessa Hutchins is a messy bitch.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Here's the thing, too. If a student is fucking a teacher, that is on the onus of the teacher, not the student, because that is an imbalance of power. So, like,
Right.
that is actually, she was probably kind of groomed and taken advantage of.
I completely agree. This is another good reason why Vanessa should keep her mouth shut.
Yeah. Her Cheeto-loving mouth shut.
So Brianna is upset because Stacy has brought up her past grooming trauma with her professor. And
For real.
Yeah.
so she pours a bunch of coffee down the front of her apron.
Yeah, because hurt people. I get it. Brianna, you
Of
are
course.
forgiven. Vanessa outed you and your trauma, and that is rude.
Brianna, your sugar work is commendable. So
Hashtag Brianna got robbed. That's all I'm saying.
yeah, Brianna got robbed. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, she lashed out in anger and shouldn't
Of course,
have. And
of course.
I personally think she did that because she wanted Vanessa Hutchins to know that she had wronged her, but didn't want to impact the competition at all, and figured a producer would see that and fix the situation. But
Yep.
Anyway, so Vanessa Hutchins, aka Stacy, has to go change her apron and runs into the Duchess, Margaret, also Vanessa Hutchins, while she's touring the set. And she's like, "Did you say you were a baker? Interesting. You should come bake my wedding cake." And she's like, "Okay, I'll come to a meeting with you." So she shows up to the meeting.
A business meeting.
Yeah, a business meeting. Now, granted, she has told Kevin and Olivia to go shopping and whatever without her because she has this business meeting. She shows up there and they're immediately like, first of all, we meet Mrs. Donatelli. So we have some context for who Mrs. Donatelli is from A Castle for Christmas.
Oh my
honestly, I remember them from A Castle to Christmas.
Right.
Didn't see them at all in this movie.
Todd, it's her helper. It's the Duchess's helper and the prince's like valet, who it is theorized at some point later in the series run off together.
Okay. Because the princess valet is like, he's like trying to expose the princess switch until he does. And then he's like fully on board for it in the movie. And it's like
Yeah.
a super weird like villain to like friend arc that I'm
It's
here for.
because there can't be any real villains in these movies. Yeah.
I honestly think he was just like out of his mind, and when he fell off that balcony trying to get those photos, he like got a head injury and then like forgot that he was a bad dude.
Yeah,
so he
yeah,
becomes
yeah.
a good guy after that.
He is going above and beyond his pay grade to a degree that I have found nowhere else. Like, he is probably making shit money, honestly. Like, he's a valet or whatever.
I mean, we're assuming he's being paid and this is not some sort of modern day slavery, but whatever. Yeah, sure.
That is a really dark take.
That's a dark take, yeah.
I don't trust the Belgravian monarchy.
Who should? Monarchs should be abolished.
Yeah. Anyway, so Mrs. Donatelli is going to help the Duchess talk her into switching with Stacy. So, and they immediately like, "Hey, we know this is the most important like baking competition of your life, even though you don't know how to assemble cakes. But like, do you want to not prep for that and switch places for 2 days for this completely bonkers nonsense reason? Sure."
Just so this little girl can go to ballet school.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. She does work out.
That's the carrot.
Yeah, that's how she gets
Right.
Chicago VH to switch with Belgravia VH.
Okay. But what is so crazy about me?
What's so great about you?
There's no reason, first of all, for them not to tell Kevin.
Oh,
right?
yeah, absolutely.
You could just tell that dude. You'd be like, "Hey, I'm not actually her, but I look like her. Can we just hang out?"
Yeah.
2, Kevin, her best friend since high school, does not notice that she is a completely different person who doesn't know what her own favorite film is.
Yep.
What the fuck, Kevin?
So can I ask a few logistical questions around what you're sort of poking at here? Has Kevin always sort of thought she was hot, but like hated her personality? And then like when
Right?
the Duchess does the switch and becomes, Chicago Vanessa Hutchins, he's just like, damn, maybe I do want to like pursue this because you've always been gorgeous, but you're not a shit person anymore. Like, it's just a weird dynamic to me.
He all but says that to Olivia.
Yes.
in one scene where he's like, she's too intense for me.
Yeah, I remember that. You're right. Fuck. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, their personalities really aren't that different.
Nope.
Like, at all. Like, they kind of make a lot of the same choices.
I honestly think Kevin just has a shitty Belgravia accent, like fetish.
Well, she's from Montenegro.
Oh, that's right. Excuse me. Montenegro, which is another non-existent country, right, Paige? I'm guessing.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But he, like, falls for her thinking it's Stacy. She's speaking an American accent, ostensibly, that she learned in a day.
Oh my God, Andrea.
Oh, the montage of them, like, we can switch places. No one will notice. Here's what drove me nuts, because like they spend 20 minutes preparing for the switch, not in movie time, in real life time.
Paige,
Yeah.
for her to explain to Belgravian Vanessa Hudgens what Chicago is like, she Googles Chicago and shows her Google image search results.
Yeah.
And then she's like, okay, cool. I got what it's like to live in Chicago your entire life and own and operate the best kept secret bakery ever. Like, what?
What those Google Maps do not show is the amount of men following you on the L.
Yeah.
Giving you unsolicited relationship advice.
Yep.
Yes, absolutely. Bell ringer, whoever. Just give this girl some advice.
The thing that drove me nuts is we'll establish later on that she didn't teach her the handshake with Olivia. And I'm like, you know that she's going to encounter this child, and children ask too many fucking questions all the damn time. And you're not going to
Absolutely.
prepare her for that at all. Like, what? We're just going to be like, yeah, you walk like me. Done. Cool.
I do love that that is the extent of the entire, like, getting to know you montage, right? And when Vanessa Hudgens first talks in her fake, quote unquote, because she is technically the Duchess at this point, talking in her Chicago accent, it sounds terrible. Like, it is the worst acting I've ever seen anyone do. And I get that, like, it's performative and should be, because she's, like, trying to pretend like she doesn't know how to talk that way.
Right.
But then in every other scene, it is exactly the way Chicago Vanessa Hudgens sounds.
Yes,
Like,
Right, it's
absolutely.
perfect.
yeah, and like it locks in and it's just so good. Really? Okay. Yeah. All right. Cool.
She had those tapes that you sleep in, and it's just like Chicago Vanessa Hudgens pronouncing words.
I learned it through osmosis.
Omelette du fromage.
Omelette du fromage. That's how we're going to find out that she's actually been murdering people this entire time, and the Chicago accent was from tapes. That was a deep cut True Blood reference. So
Hell yeah. I just rewatched that recently.
I just watch regular porn. I don't know. Like,
I need better stories.
Same.
And Joe Manganiello. Anyway, so Vanessa Hudgens practices slouching, and they're ready for the switch. While she's just like, marriage is about duty.
Yeah, they just got to take out Stacy's fake ass ponytail weave and they're good to go.
another thing I did not notice.
It's clearly just, they just have, because her hair, so her actual hair is so short, you can barely get it into a ponytail.
Yes.
So you actually see the original hair sticking out.
Yeah.
And then they've just kind of like used the ponytail to attach the long ponytail part.
Yep.
But it's still sticking out. So you can tell that it's actually just short hair with the weave stuck on it.
Wild. Okay.
And on top of that, if I told my friends I was going to a business meeting and then showed up 2 hours later with a completely different haircut, they'd have questions.
And personality, Paige.
They'd be
Yeah.
like,
Got reprogrammed.
what kind of Stepford Wives shit is this? Is this even
Yes.
a baking competition, or is this the pod people?
Absolutely, yes. So many questions.
So crazy. So they decide that they're going to switch back in 2 days, right?
Yeah. You know, just enough time to fully fall in love with someone you've never met.
Right?
Yeah, and
2
they
days.
switch phone cases too. It's like a whole thing.
Well, that would be a dead giveaway if you're like the Duchess, but your phone says like Chicago Bulls or whatever. I don't know
Yeah.
what her phone case would say, but yeah.
I got a new haircut, but we can't get a new phone case. Like, what?
Yeah. So the prince shows up to say goodbye, and so she has to pretend to be the Duchess. And her improving as the Duchess is unhinged.
Yes, absolutely yes.
You mean the amazing job as the Duchess then comes out from behind the couch and says, I was like,
Yeah.
Duchess, I don't think you were like paying attention to what was actually being
No.
said. She did a
Yeah.
terrible job.
She did a terrible job. She was like, Prince, I'm going to need a vegetable and an occupation.
And there was a lot of concern about how much she enjoyed the couch.
Oh yeah, it's all strange. It's super strange.
Yeah.
So we cut to the Duchess meeting Kevin for the first time. And he's like, "Did you get the apron?" And she's just like, no, I couldn't find any that fit." And he was like, "Yeah, they're kind of a one size fits all thing," which by the way, they're not. You can get aprons in different sizes. If you have big titties, it's a thing. Anyway, he then is like, "Did you get a haircut, bitch?" And she's just like, "Oh yeah, I'm spontaneous." And he's like, "No, you're not. Like, I've known you for 12 years.
He's like, "I'm so turned on by spontaneity, and that is not at all you, girl."
Right?
Do you want to spontaneously ride this dick?
You're about to spontaneously get an offer you may want to refuse, but it's still like, I'm going to offer it. But I understand that consent is important in a male in this society.
Correct.
I just realized when I started that I'm going to give you an offer you can't refuse. Like, if I finished that, it would sound super rapey. So I decided in the moment to over-explain how consent is important. And that was the joke. Sorry.
We love it, Todd. We love it so much.
Sorry.
No, it's great. It is completely bizarre. Like, as a demisexual person, I would say 3 to 6 months, 9 if I'm having a tough time is what it takes for me to know someone to want to have sex with them pipeline. So it's like, it just takes a long time. I can't imagine falling in love with a person in 2 days and be like, did it.
Yeah.
The rest of my love life forever sorted.
Yeah.
Thank God I went to this baking competition.
Absolutely. People can pretend for a while. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't know that person.
That is true. Not only is she not spontaneous, she's so non-spontaneous that she planned an agenda for sightseeing that she wasn't even going to do. She planned it for other people.
Yeah.
Because later when she's like, "You didn't stick to the schedule," and the Duchess is like, "What do you care? Like, you're not here.
You're not part of it,
matter. You're not
Yeah.
part of it." It's crazy. So we cut to the next day. She has to go to breakfast with the king and queen. Stacey does. Chicago,
Yes.
Vanessa Hudgens. And apparently they only got her one outfit because she wears variations of that outfit for the first half of the movie. And then they get her a second outfit. And she wears variations of the second outfit for most of the rest of the movie. And then they finally give her some new outfits at the end.
In fairness, though, it is only a 3-day shoot. So they were like, this is the full day. It's this outfit. That's fine.
Yeah, it's this outfit. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they do like 3 weeks worth of stuff in 2 days. In this,
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
This absolutely has the same problem a lot of like rom-coms do, where they like yada, yada, yada over 2 days. And people have like fallen in love and all of that shit. Like Falling for Christmas was the same way. Like
Right.
it
Yeah,
looked like
yeah.
it took place over 6 weeks, but it took place over 4 days.
I mean, I think that's just the issue, though, is that like falling in love requires like people to show up for you and acts of service and like,
Yeah, like it takes time.
yeah, kind of complicated and difficult things to relate that in truth, like love is this like this person is reliable and present and, you know, like all these things, not just like, damn, he looks good without a shirt on, though.
I know. What you're describing is like, I could totally buy that, like, you might want to fuck this person after knowing them 2 days.
Yes.
But that is
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily love.
it's
you know?
not
Like,
love. It's
yeah,
lust
No.
versus love.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think you're absolutely right. And that's one of the reasons I prefer like A Castle for Christmas over this. And it literally is just because that takes place over like three and a half
months.
months or something.
3 months.
And like,
yeah.
I do sort of buy that they could fall in love in that amount of time.
Or
Absolutely.
Holiday, where it takes place over a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so who should show up to breakfast but the prince? Because it turns out he's like, "I canceled my trip. We should get to know each other because we're getting married in like 2 weeks."
I mean, he's also right. He should cancel
Yeah.
that trip, but this does throw like a huge horseshoe into their plans,
Nay.
which is Belgravia's version of a wrench. I don't know why I said that.
because they're on horses later, Todd.
Hell yeah, that's what it was.
The horse girl in me got super stoked.
Oh, damn, girl. I didn't realize you were an equestrian.
Anyway, he hands her a tiara in the most Joanne Michael's Arts and Crafts Hobby Lobby box I have ever seen.
It's not even like nice enough to be Swarovski. Like it's like
Yeah.
it's like Party City tiara.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
only
yeah,
Party
yeah, yeah.
City tiara, they clearly have taken a paper like gift box, covered it in red velvet, and then glued giant rhinestones onto it, and they did it crooked. It bothered me the entire movie. Every time we see that box, I was like, that fucking stone. Like, get some E6000. Like, what are we doing?
Yes.
You can see like the hot glue patches that they they're like, you did this shoddily at best.
Yep.
Yeah.
We cut to Stacy, who can't cook breakfast because she has never had to cook her own breakfast. Duh.
Yeah.
And she's about to have to run a bakery, I guess.
Right?
But this is where Olivia is just like, who the fuck are you? Like, she just instantly knows.
I do love that Olivia's like, nah, something ain't right here. And she does ask for the handshake, right?
Yep, secret handshake, which obviously does not pass muster. So we cut to, they're out at breakfast and they call Chicago Vanessa Hudgens to be like, hey, we know, like the jig is up, like
Yeah.
whatever. And she's like, okay, well, just don't tell anybody. And again, they could have told Kevin. I don't know why they don't.
Absolutely, yes. There's no reason Kevin doesn't have to know that he is now entrusting his childcare to a literal stranger. Like, maybe just let that dude know.
Yeah.
Like, this is the thing. She doesn't have to be Stacy. She could just wear normal clothes and do normal things. There's no reason why she can't, like, experience outside life just as no one knows what she looks like. So, like, she could just leave the castle.
That is so true. They go out of their way, Andrea, to let us know that there's no one who has pictures of her because she's camera shy. Like, that is a line of dialogue.
She could just go Princess Jasmine style and just put on different clothes and get arrested by her own guards. Like, she doesn't need to do any of this.
She could absolutely experience that whole new world without the switch.
Absolutely.
I mean, I do think the reason she did the switch is because she wanted to see Kevin's abs. Absolutely. But, I mean.
And we can't blame her for that.
No, I mean, listen, I get why you're with Brandon. Is all I'm saying. I get it.
Yes.
I'm not saying that he's my type, but like, I get it.
He does have a fantastic body. Don't worry about it.
Brandon's body is a wonderland.
Okay. I'll let him know how you feel about it, Todd.
I honestly have no idea what his body is like. I'm just like, yes, anding what you saying that.
I mean, this is like when I posted a picture of Jake on Twitter a couple days ago.
Oh my God.
Right before I
so
left.
many people tagged me in that and they were like, Todd, I completely now understand your man crush on Jake. And I was like, right? He's always been this hot. Like, I am not crazy. I am super straight. But, like, Jake could get it. Like, he's a gorgeous man.
Jake does look like if Wolverine turned to a life of only lumberjacking. Like, that's his whole vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just want to give it all up and get back to lumberjacking it.
Yeah. And thankfully, he now feels better. So that's
Yes,
nice.
we love that. We love that for him.
Anyway, so she and the prince go horseback riding.
Oh, wait. Can I say something before we move on? I'm so sorry, Paige.
Mm-hmm.
Because Kevin and Stacy, really, you know, Chicago Vanessa Hudgens should be preparing for the competition that's in 2 days, right?
Right.
Like, I wanted a bunch of scenes where not necessarily Olivia's like with a handler or whatever.
Yes.
And it's just Stacy or Chicago Vanessa Hutchins, the Duchess, really. And Kevin sort of like trying to prepare, but also like spending time alone together so they can build some chemistry. And I don't know, I thought those scenes could be really funny too, because then the Duchess doesn't know how to cook, but she's having to prepare. And her sous chef is like, are you insane? You have to put the filling in before you bake it. Like,
that's what would happen if this was written by an adult, but I don't think it was.
Again, it was a cat, so that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is the same problem that Falling for Christmas had, where they mistake her bonding with the child of the single father for chemistry between her and the single father.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a problem in a lot of these movies.
Let's also talk about how different it is to date a parent. I don't know if either of you have ever done it.
Yeah.
I have not.
I was a stepmommy for a while. I dated a guy for 5 years and he had a son. And like that role is not something that you take on lightly. And it also is not something that like a child accepts easily. You know, it takes time. It depends. Like if they're a lot younger, it's a lot easier. But like you really have to build trust with a child in a slow way. And if Olivia knows that this girl is an imposter, not her friend, not her godmother that she's known her whole life, just a literal stranger. And she's like, yeah, fuck my dad, though. That never happened.
She does seem
Like,
like
what?
immediately on board that there is a
Yes.
stranger who is now in charge of her own personal safety.
Yes. And kids do not do that. Kids are not that trusting.
I didn't even think about you're right about please have sex with my dad, because you look like his best friend that I wanted
Right.
to be my mommy, because I love her as a
Right.
person. But just
Right.
because you look like her, I realize you're a completely different person, but I'm going to shift all of those feelings onto you now.
Yep.
In fairness, when I was a child and my dad was in jail, I did ask my optometrist if he would date my mom. I just was like, I just told him, I was like, you would make a good dad. Do you want to be my dad? And my mom was like, oh my God. She was very upset.
So can I just ask, how long has he been your new stepdad?
He was not, because he was married with his own children.
Okay. So it didn't go well, is what you're saying. Okay.
It did not go
Yeah,
well.
all
My
right.
mom did not have a chance. Shout out Dr. Anderson. You're a great optometrist.
We really saw eye to eye on your parenting.
Yeah.
God damn it. That's why Paige is a professional.
Absolutely.
So they go horseback riding in the snow. This is Chicago Vanessa Hudgens pretending to be the Duchess with the prince.
Yeah.
And she does something that I hate.
You mean stand up for herself? Yeah, I hate when women
No.
think they can talk back to a man. Yeah, Paige, I get exactly what you're saying, but it's a weird take.
No, because that's not
I know.
what she does. She absolutely puts words in his mouth.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they
Hate
definitely
it.
do make him say something he didn't really say.
Well, and but not only that, she does it multiple times, and like it's one of those
What
things.
did you mean by that?
Like, did you mean that I'm a fucking ogre and you hate me? Like, it's that thing of like latching onto a perception and then like spinning it out of control into something that somebody did not remotely say. And
Absolutely.
It's one of those things where if you go through any amount of couples therapy, they will be like, stop fucking doing that. Like,
Yes.
do
Yeah.
not do this.
Yes.
And she does it a lot in this movie. And instead of being like, hey, that's not really fair. That's not what this person said. Let's talk about their intent and why you felt this way, why you had this reaction. No, instead, everyone's just like, she's really confident.
Yeah, projection is mostly these arguments. And it's
Yes.
like, girl, chill. Also, you don't actually have to marry this guy. It doesn't matter.
You
like,
don't have to
Actually,
like him.
Andrea, up to this point, she's not marrying this guy. The Duchess
She's
is when she
not-
gets back in a day or 2 days
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah, it's like,
so
oh.
what does she care?
exactly. Like, this dude's about to be someone else's problem, girl. Chill.
I do love that she is like setting up like a bomb in their relationship for a conversation they will definitely have to have. And she just like
Yes.
walks
Yep.
away. So like, if they didn't see each other for the next 2 days, actual Duchess Vanessa Hudgens would have a very confusing conversation to have with that husband.
yes.
Yeah.
When she meets him at the altar. Like, what?
He's like, I've been thinking about this for 2 weeks and you were gaslighting me. If we didn't have to get married, which I guess they don't because he just marries the Chicago Vanessa Hudgens. Wait, weren't they getting married? Like it was an arranged marriage, right?
It was an arranged marriage and they were going to get married on New Year's. So like a week later.
It was for like allying two
For
nations.
diplomatic
though.
reasons.
Yeah. And then he's just like, I guess I'm going to marry some woman from Chicago. Don't worry, it's cool. We're going to be allied with the city of Chicago now. Like that is bonkers to me.
This crust isn't the only thing about to be stuffed, am I right,
Oh,
ladies?
it's not just
Ladies.
the pizza that gets deep, Andrea.
Doing it Chicago style.
Oh, I like it deep and cheesy, baby.
You both wear coats and you do a crawl from bar to bar
my
to bar to bar,
God.
and then you just pass out together in the same bed.
That's my heritage. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyway, they're supposed to go to a charity ball that night. Meanwhile, down at the snow village or whatever,
Right.
they take Olivia to go see Santa, and she's just like, he's like, what do you want for Christmas? And she's like, a new mom. Wink, wink, wink. Just like, get in there, Dad. Weird, perviest child ever.
That does remind me of the SNL sketch where all the moms are like, what do you want for Christmas, Mom? And they're like, grandbabies. We want grandbabies.
Oh, grandchildren. The Home Goods one. I want my son to put grandchildren into Kelsey. Yes.
Wait, it just hit me that Olivia knows that this is the Duchess and not really Stacey DiGiorno or whatever her
Correct.
name is.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stacey DiGiorno.
So she wants just skip past the DiGiorno joke. I got questions.
It's not delivery.
So she it's the
He's
Duchess.
going to deliver that dick
So like,
to the
listen,
Duchess.
stop. I actually have a question. So like, Olivia is just like, I know I just met you and this is crazy, but if you wouldn't mind having my father's baby. Like, it seems insane to me that she would want her to marry maybe it's because she's a duchess and she's just like, I want to be whatever the daughter of a duchess is called.
Yeah. It's also a duchess, I believe.
I thought so. I don't know.
But I think it's also just because she's a child.
yeah.
Okay, that's fair. The funny thing is, she was actually asking if Santa wanted to be her new mommy. It's a whole thing.
Santa
She's asking everybody.
I think it's Santa Daddy.
It depends on what you're looking for, Andrea.
If you're watching Violent Night, yes, it is.
Or Silent Night, Deadly Night 2.
Or Silent Night, Deadly Night, or Santa
That sounds
Sleigh.
like a fart.
What, Silent Night, Deadly Night? Number 2? Yeah, it does. Also, it's a bonkers movie.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a crazy garbage day. It's a crazy movie. Anyway, so she, back at the palace, she runs into the prince when he's looking at a picture of his grandmother. Because as we have established, he is
In love with that bitch.
obsessed in a weird sexual way with his grandmother.
Yeah.
Grandma must watch us fulfill our sexual desires.
Oh, I got the vibe that grandma was dead and she died of like having multiple broken hips. Like, I don't know what was going on with his relationship with his grandmother, but it wasn't okay.
Yeah, it was strange.
He brings her up way too much.
Well, and you are right. Like the way you talked about it in the beginning, where it's like he brings her up and just, that's how my grandmother did it so many times. And
It's
you're just
so
like, ugh.
weird.
On the point of climax. That's how my grandmother did it. You're just like Granny.
It's got the same vibe as that one lady in the animated film Anastasia that just says, Grandma, it's me, Anastasia. Like that same kind of just like, oh, vibe. It's weird.
Like breathy sexual talking.
But he's talking about his grandmother. Like,
Right.
I love my grandmother, but when I started dating Natalie, I had never said, oh, you do it just like grandma did it.
His whole search history is GILF.
No. Well, I think it's also like it'd be one thing if it was like she's like making cookies. It's like, and he's like, oh, that's how my grandma used to do it. Like, there's a way for it
Right.
to not be creepy.
Right.
That would be fine if he said it like that, because it sounded in no way sexual.
But instead, he's just like, my grandma would have said that way. And you're just like, okay, all right. And then he makes her wear her necklace.
right?
Anyway.
He is giving her trophies? Yeah, it's weird.
He wants to sit on her lap big time.
What do you want for Christmas? A new grandma.
Oh, I mean, I'm glad that you guys saw it too, because this whole time I was,
It was
like,
so weird.
this dude wants to fuck his granny, and that's uncomfortable. I don't like that.
It's uncomfortable.
So weird.
But anyway, he kind of apologizes to Vanessa Hudgens for something he did not do. And he's just like, Grandma was outspoken too, especially in the bedroom. And she's just like, great. Anyway, we cut back to the Christmas market where Kevin and the Duchess end up tumbling into the snow. You know, the thing that has to happen in all these movies.
Yeah. Get those nipples hard, Kevin. Let's go.
We cut to the ball where a ball happens. Literally the only thing that happens at this ball is that she hears about the charity that the ball is for and is like, oh, I have questions. And everyone's like, shut the fuck up and don't ask questions. This is how we launder money.
I do love that she asks what I feel are like some pretty basic questions about the charity.
Yes,
and they're like,
absolutely.
We don't fucking know. We're just the money. Shut your mouth.
Yep.
No, it is also a plot point that has them under mistletoe where she kisses another woman's fiance
Yeah, on the cheek.
on the cheek.
Yeah, that's true.
So they shut her up about the charity.
Yeah.
And she goes to sit in the gazebo and she's like, I didn't mean to offend. And he's like, no. Like, let's talk. You know, let's go tomorrow and we'll visit the orphanage. And she's like, okay.
He's like, don't worry. You acted just the way grandma would have.
Grandma also would have questioned our 501(c)(3) status. That's what I loved about her. So we cut to, she's on the phone with the Duchess, who is at the cabin with Kevin. And Kevin pops in to be like, yo, can I borrow your toothpaste? And he's shirtless. And this is where we get to see his abs.
They're great abs. 10 out of 10.
They're great abs. 10 out of 10. Great shoulders, too. All of it.
So
Crushing
can I just say this? And I realize everything you're saying, absolutely true. Dude's hot as fuck. He can get it. But the way he is okay being not naked, but like a level of undress around who he thinks is Chicago Vanessa Hudgens makes me believe that they have had a sexual relationship in the past. Does that make sense?
I've seen my guy friends without their shirts on.
Yeah.
I mean that would happen if you went swimming and stuff. Like
Yeah.
it's not. That's what I mean. Like that inherently isn't a sexual thing,
Right.
But the fact that he was comfortable being in like a house, in a level of undress. I mean, that was just what started the whole. Oh wait, they may have slept together, like in college or whatever.
I mean, I thought they may have slept together anyway.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I have guy friends that I have had to travel with a lot, and so I didn't find it super weird.
Yeah.
But that is a rarity of my life, I would say, where because I work in a male-dominated field where we travel a lot, like
I was literally gonna say
there are
that.
a lot of comedian friends that I'm like, yeah, this isn't that weird.
I've seen a lot of people shirtless that I never should have seen shirtless. Probably the most famous was Bret Michaels because of that situation, right? Like I've seen most of Stryper shirtless, right? So I get that because you were backstage and people have to change or whatever, like that happens.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Or you have tiny T-Rex arms and you can't unzip your own dresses.
That is real. But you do make a good point that all you had to do is button literally one button, so it's not just full nipples. You know what I mean? Like just one button to be like, oh, I'm going to the next room. Just meh. And then, but it's fine. Don't worry about it.
I mean, we all know why it's there, ladies.
It was gratuitous, but appreciated.
Yes, indeed. So we cut to the next day. Stacy, pretending to be the Duchess, and the prince go to the orphanage. She's reading a story to them, and this little girl's like, I wish I could be a princess. And she's like, you're a princess in your heart, but also still poor. Meh. And so she starts asking the hard-hitting money questions again, where she's just like, so where do these donations go? Is this a religious organization? How are you taxing this? Like, you know, who's writing this off? And finds out that they don't have money for Christmas presents, which I'm just like, how much money did that ball raise? Like, what?
Yeah.
This is the thing. This is the issue that I, as someone who grew up without money, always had like big confusing questions. Because people would be like, jump rope for heart. And I'm like, wait. How is me jumping helping anyone? It's like, well, you get people to donate money and then the thing. And I was like, why don't the people just donate money?
Right.
Why do I have to do any activity at all? This makes no fucking sense. Same thing with a ball. Like you're doing a ball. It's $10,000 a plate. It costs you $5,000 a plate to put the ball on. So like, what is happening? Why do you have to have a ball? Just give money to poor people. The end.
Yep.
Or actually, better yet, tax the rich and create a fairer society
How
so that
dare
poor people
you
don't exist.
work in your very logical and sustainable propaganda into this podcast episode?
This is now communist podcast.
Spoiler. It's leaned that way for some time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We put the abs in absolutely. Also Red Warhammer. Let's go.
Love the callback. That was
Thank you.
perfect.
Thank
Love
you
it.
for your generic European accent. It fits in perfectly with this film.
It sounded just like a Belgravian accent, please.
Yeah. Anyway, so she's like, we've got to get them presents, which honestly, like, if I was in her position, I'm not even rich. And I'd be like, there's a Target nearby, right? Like, like I got a couple hundo to throw at this.
You're literally the prince. Let's buy some orphans some goddamn presents. Like,
And he reacts like, oh, I already gave at the ball. Like, what?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you
buy
about
them
to give some
presents.
Nerf guns to these children, asshole. Let's do this.
I wish it was Nerf guns, but it wasn't. It was
those laser toys are like $3. They didn't buy a lot of super expensive toys.
I think they literally bought what was available in the one tiny toy store.
Yeah, I do think it was a matter of availability and not like cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whatever Belgravia's version of Walmart was, they weren't going to go there because they're above it. But
They're
whatever.
a Dollar Tree family.
Anyway, so they go to the nearest toy emporium, Frederick's on Palmetto Road. But of course, who should they run into but the Duchess and Olivia, who like quickly ditch out because the bell ringer guy shows up and is like, oh, I need someone to help push my car. And they're like, has to be us. Let's leave. Like,
Also, something we missed earlier is when bell ringer guy is at the market and she's like, were you just in Chicago? And he's like, how could I have been in Chicago? It's like planes, motherfucker. Like, what are you talking
yeah,
about?
she was just in Chicago and now
Yeah.
she's here. Logically.
What are you talking about?
That, like, the question, were you on my flight? No. But yeah, he also stops them in the market later and is like, you guys would be good together. Like, he's just like
Right.
meddling in people's business.
Get out of my business, creep. Damn.
Yeah. The prince and the Duchess, aka Stacy, play Twister, which, I mean, for a Hallmark, well, Netflix film that's not going to have any real sex in it, Twister is just teasing us at this point. Like, don't introduce
Right.
Twister if you're not going to follow through.
Also, she's in a skirt.
I
Yeah.
know. I was thinking the same thing when I saw her wearing the skirt. I was like, oh, this could get graphic, and there are like other people around. So like maybe
Yes,
they
it's a
should.
child's toy store.
Yeah.
This is not for
And
kiddos.
she's like, oh, look, there's Twister. You should fuck me on it. I
Yep.
mean, that's what Paige was looking for in this toy store.
If Paige had written this film, that's exactly what would have happened. Is he would have been like, I'm rich enough. We're pulling what's his name in Pretty Woman? Get out,
Richard
everyone.
Gere. Yeah.
Richard Gere. I'm buying the toy store. We're gonna fuck on this Twister mat. Like that's what would have happened if Paige wrote this film.
Well,
Yep.
I mean, I think what we're all thinking is that's what would have happened if she was actually his grandmother.
Oh no.
Through time travel. So,
My hip.
Why do you think she broke so many hips towards the end?
oh,
Twister's a
no.
rough game.
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't like
yes,
it.
it is, though. You got to stretch first.
Yeah, just like Granny wanted.
Anyway, she also has to teach the Duke how to, or not Duke,
Prince.
or no, she teaches the prince how to wrap presents, but she also bakes cookies for him and lies and is like, oh, the Duke taught me how to make these cookies, which would have been her father or whatever.
Right. My dead dad.
Yeah,
From
dead
the
dad.
ghost world. Because they died when I was a child. It's fine. Don't worry about
Showed
it.
up to show us the cookies. Meanwhile, the king and queen are like, what do you think about her? She's fucking weird, right? And the queen is like, she's a breath of fresh air and I love her. And they're like, all right. So we cut to the orphans. They give them all of the gifts. Great. They teach them how to play Twister.
But like in an appropriate way that you would teach kids how to play Twister.
For children. The same way his grandmother taught him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We cut to the cabin. It's the night before the competition. And Kevin makes her spaghetti. And she's like, this is the best spaghetti we've ever had. And they decide to watch a Christmas movie before the competition the next day. And it is one that is ostensibly her favorite.
But she has never heard of it. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's your favorite. And she's like, yeah, I knew that. Ha 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 ha.
And he's like, I'm so turned on by someone forgetting what their favorite is.
Yes.
This woman either has head trauma,
Yeah.
like serious head trauma, or is a different person.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were those 5 years that she played for the Patriots, but like other than that, no head drama.
But I mean, like realistically, she's having a stroke or she's a different person, right?
Right. Well, and he does say to her, he's like, you haven't been so intense recently, which is like, I know what they're trying to get at, but it is mildly offensive.
As a woman who has been called intense by most of her sexual partners and potential sexual partners, it is really upsetting when intense just means like, I don't like it when you're late for things. Like,
How is that at all related to being intense? Oh, were you camping and that's why you were late? Like you were actually in a tent?
right. Like, no, it's like, I'm like, hey, it would be great if you were on time for things, or did any of the things you said you would do.
Oh,
or like,
you're asking them to be on time was you being quote
yeah,
unquote intense.
like,
Okay.
hey, could you like have a pattern of behavior that shows me that you're a responsible adult? And they're like, damn, you're intense.
And value my time.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So sometimes when men say women are intense, that's all that it means.
I would say using a word like intense to describe anyone's probably not great.
It's not nice.
I do want to note that the movie that they're watching is A Christmas Prince that will come back in fun facts later. It is not A Princess for Christmas, which we watched
What?
last Christmas.
There's so many, Paige, and they all are the same movie.
So wait, we haven't done that movie that they showed?
No, we did A Princess for Christmas starring Sam Heughan from Outlander.
I literally said to Natalie, I was like, oh, that's the movie we did last year.
It was not.
Okay.
But is it an actual other movie?
Yes, and it's connected to the world of this movie.
Paige, what the fuck? Who is taking acid and writing these films? Like, what is happening?
Dan Harmon discovering that there were 2 Hallmark movies that are literally the same movie with different titles and falling down that rabbit hole is
so funny.
It's so funny. It's wild that they pulled that shit. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, we cut back to the castle, and the prince wants to give her grandma's amulet because she helped him learn that pores were people. And she accepts it and then kisses another woman's fiance. And he's like, I'll see you in the morning. And she's like, you'll see your duchess in the morning.
And he's just like, yeah, all right, weirdo, I'll see you in the morning. Like,
are you doing like an Elmo thing? Like,
yeah. We're doing a third person thing now. You are already weird.
am I dating Bob Dole? Sorry, that's like a very early 2000s reference. But
Bob Dole wants to hear Bob Dole say Bob
exactly,
Dole.
like, what are we doing, Duchess?
So back to this film. We cut back to Kevin and who he believes is Stacey, but is actually the Duchess.
Right.
And he's like, I got you something in your stocking. And in my notes, I just typed this dick because I was delirious with exhaustion.
It's a dick in your sock.
Ooh,
It's a dick in your sock, girl.
See, I'm wise enough to know that I'm giving you a locket.
This candy cane is so salty.
That ain't a candy cane, baby.
Oh, jeez.
But still striped for some reason.
Oh, no.
Hey, I had to get festive with it. I am the only person on this recording wearing a Christmas sweater and a Santa hat.
Oh, I thought you were going to say with a penis.
Oh, I don't want to assume. I don't know. I don't really care, honestly. Whatever genitalia you have, I hope you and your partners enjoy it.
Great. I don't even know what day it is, so
That's fair.
whatever.
Okay.
Anyway, he gets him a locket of a picture of them with Santa, which I understand the sentiment behind it, but I thought it was very, very funny that in the locket, there's just a picture of a stranger dressed as Santa forever. Like this treasured heirloom will have
Yeah.
a picture of a stranger in it always.
Also, it's not a good locket. Like when they show
No.
the close-up of it, like the hinge is worn a different color.
Yeah.
It's really ugly and clearly very cheap.
Yes,
But he
yes,
doesn't
yes,
have
yes.
money for ballet lessons, so I get it.
Yeah, I mean, he is a poor, jacked, sexy man.
And he would have had to like find it in Belgravia.
Yes.
So like, limited supply. Anyway, they make out and she's like, wait, we can't do this. We got to pretend like this never happened. So they go to bed.
We have to pretend this never happened because tomorrow morning,
Yeah.
when you bring this up, that person's not going to have any idea what the fuck you're talking about.
Right?
Nope.
Like, are they going to be like, here's what went down, girly? That's your problem now? Or are they just like, oh, switch, whatever?
Meanwhile, Brianna cuts the cord to her KitchenAid because hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
Yep.
And Brianna, we see you. I get it.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's rough out here. I get it.
I wonder if that lady's been in anything else.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh,
But
shit.
we
She
cut-
was in like Les Mis and stuff.
Will you join in our souffle, baking the treats of angry men? It is the...
I should have won this goddamn contest, but Belgravian judges suck. If you think Vanessa Hudgens is a really stupid cunt. Sorry, we all cut most of that.
No, leave it.
I like it.
I'm just saying Brianna has a reason to hate
Yeah.
Vanessa Hudgens.
Absolutely.
Contestant 24601.
Hell yes. This is the Judge General Lamarck. Sorry.
Anyway, so they meet up to do the switch, and at the switch, they basically reveal that they fell in love with each other's slam pieces. Oh no.
I get it. Here's the thing, Paige. One is a beautiful hot man with beautiful abs, and one has the wealth to own horses.
Yeah.
That's fair, yeah.
So for me, it's like hottie or a life with horses.
I'm surprised you don't paint more horses.
Oh, I almost exclusively painted horses as a child, and I think I burned
okay.
myself out.
That makes sense. So I think you should choose horses and follow me on this. I really think you could pull off like sexy grandma role play. Follow me. Big glasses,
Oh,
bonnet
honey.
type. Yeah, exactly.
I baked for you.
Exactly.
You want to come sit on Granny's lap?
So like if I was the prince, I would be rock hard right now. So like I do feel like you would be happy with your horses. And he's not a bad looking guy. He's just into gilfs, right?
Fine.
And he sings that Christmas song.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
do think when he gets down there and like helps her play piano, it's like such a sweet gesture that it almost made me forget that he wanted to have sex with his grandma.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna play chopsticks for real.
Yeah, we totally forgot to talk about it because they play Carol of the Bells and
Yeah.
he makes her play the alto line, where if you've ever sung Carol of the Bells with a choir, the alto line is just ding dong, ding dong, ding, like the whole song.
He
It's
gives her the easy part because she can't actually play piano.
correct.
Even though she is supposedly like a classically trained pianist.
Oh, and also that's weird because he doesn't know she is not the version of herself that is a classically
Right.
trained pianist.
he's not like, oh,
so like,
you fucking lied.
I know, right? So either you lied on your bridal application. I don't know if fucking arranged marriages work in weird monarchies, but like you
Yeah.
lied on that, or you have a head injury. Like there's something wrong.
Kevin is the only classically trained pianist on here, I believe.
And those abs go all the way down to it.
I did also think it was a little interesting. I think this is something we should consider. What kind of grandma do you want to be? Like, what kind of grandma persona are you inhabiting if you marry him for the horses? I'll let you in on mine. Mine is going to be alien conspiracy theorist, chain smoking, gambler. Like, that's the grandma I want to be, which is just my great Aunt Phyllis. Like, that's who that's the grandma I'll be.
This may surprise you to hear, Paige, but this is the first time anyone's ever asked me what kind of grandmother I want to be. So first off,
Right.
thank you for asking the question.
Grandchildren.
I'd probably be some sort of like, I don't know, like rock and roll granny, super into leather jackets, like that kind of thing.
A little
Like,
bit of Ricky and the Flash.
yeah,
All right,
probably
all right.
like that. Yeah.
Andrea.
I would definitely be the like, oh, you're so adorable. Let me help you out with that, sweet. Like, I would just be like sweet granny all the way until you brought up something that I was like, no, fuck that. And then be like, whoa, her voice changed. Who is she?
Do you follow that Midwestern mom on TikTok?
I don't use my TikTok anymore. I should because for business, but I just,
Yeah.
I've been having a feelings with social media where I'm like, I'm only posting on social media like twice a week now. And it is so wonderful for my mental health. It's pretty great.
Yeah. Oh, no. Hard agree.
In addition to my fun, bizarre ads.
Oh, my God. Yes. The best thing in the world. My whole family was laughing about it on the plane.
I showed that to Natalie, the Denzel Washington ad, and I was like,
Yeah.
this is the funniest thing you'll see ever.
So the fun part about that is I told someone in my stories, I was like, the next person to place an order gets Denzel Washington. So I just mailed Denzel Washington to someone, and there's like a follow-up Instagram video of them unboxing Denzel,
Oh,
and it's
my God,
fantastic.
I love it.
They got really excited. It made me very
That's
happy.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
Where are we in this movie? Like, I have no idea what's happening.
Near the end.
Oh, thank fuck.
Yes.
Yeah, because Frank takes pictures of them as the two of them and then tries to turn them into the queen. And the queen is just like, shut your fucking mouth and let my kid marry his grandma.
Well, because Frank is like, I need to see the king. And she's like, I mean, you can give me whatever that is. I know the king, like we're on good
Right.
terms. And
Right.
Frank is like, no, I should definitely talk to the king. And she's like, I will fucking fire you, Frank. You ain't
Yeah.
shit.
What?
Like, and he eventually does give her the photos. And she takes him to the king. Like, she wasn't like power playing. She was being honest. Like, I'll take them to the king. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and then she lays a trap at breakfast the next day of just like, oh, I can't go to the baking competition. You have to go.
Yeah.
And so we have talked so much about this baking competition. Oh my God, I still have more notes where she's using springform pans to bake regular cakes in, which you can do.
I don't know what that means.
I do love that we have talked about the baking competition conservatively for like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
And it is legit 3 minutes of screen time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Which I don't think we need to go back into it.
Oh, I don't think anyone would argue with you.
It's been said. Yeah. We've said our piece.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, she wins and realizes that she has to go collect the medal from her lookalike.
Yes.
And so they go backstage and essentially the prince is just like, I love you. I know you've only been here for 2 days. Be my queen. And then the Duchess is like, I'm outie. I'm going to go fuck your best friend. Bye. And they immediately go off and start making out. Kevin is just like, here for it. Let's go.
What? And she's a duchess? Fuck yeah. Old
Hell
Stacey
yeah.
sucked.
Yeah, Stacey DiGiorno sucks. But Stacey DiGiorno tries to run away, and the prince follows her out into the competition where everyone is watching. And he's like, will you marry me next Christmas? And she's just like, absolutely, I will.
He also does make it clear that she is not the Duchess, right? Like, the jig is
she's
up.
a commoner.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I do love that, like, the 30-person diplomatic team that negotiated their marriage, like, just like threw up at their hands.
So we're
and were
not
like,
good
"What
enough
the
for you."
fuck, man.
I guess I'll just go fuck myself in our treaty with Spain. This was going to put Belgravia on the map.
There's a conference table somewhere where a bunch of old men are wearing like thousands of those medals on their suit jackets.
Yeah.
And they just are like, rah, and their beards disintegrate because they're so angry. And yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, man. Anyway, we cut to their wedding.
Which is a year later, right? I'm assuming
Yeah.
timeline-wise.
A year later, the orphans are there. It's a whole thing. They cut the cake, but oh my God, this drove me nuts. They cut the cake, but they don't serve it. So, like, they don't pull a slice out. They just cut one thing into it, and then you can see it behind them.
I'm sorry, Paige. Did you serve people your wedding cake? What a commoner move. That's not how the
No, but
monarchy does it.
You pull your one slice out, usually.
Sure,
I guess.
sure,
I mean,
yeah.
not everybody, but yeah.
But it is insane that they don't serve any of it.
Yeah.
Right. So we cut to, they do a like, Merry Christmas to all and to all a good night. We kind of fade to credits with the same Christmas song that is sung by the prince. And
That's
the
movie.
So having seen the movie, having talked about the movie, how did you guys feel about The Princess Switch?
Horrible film.
Oh, it's terrible, but I definitely think people should watch it. I want to get super deep into the like oeuvre or world of like the Netflix cinematic Christmas universe.
I have so many notes. We're going to get into it in fun facts for sure.
Okay, I'm excited about that.
Nice.
Yeah, I was really just like, I think I could write a better film tomorrow. And I'm not that great of a fiction writer. Like,
I mean, at least in my film, they would know how to make cakes.
yeah, exactly. Paige would nail it. And
Yeah.
I would know a lot more about horse care. So
There you go.
we both would have
It'd be a much
special-
more educational film.
Yes.
So, Paige, do you have some fun facts for us?
I have so many. Yes.
Well, hit us with your fun facts. Big show, fun facts.
Now, during the wedding at the end of this movie, Vanessa Hudgens is playing Stacy, obviously. So she can't play Margaret because they did this with Parent Trap rules. So if you look in the crowd, Margaret is very clearly just a stand-in. It's just a small Asian woman wearing Vanessa Hudgens' costume.
Oh, wow.
Notice that? Oh my God.
There are screenshots of it online, and it's really funny. So as I mentioned, this is all filmed in Romania, even the parts that are supposed to be Chicago, but the castle is a real castle in Romania, Caroli Castle.
Cannoli Castle? My people.
Caroli Castle, like Bella
Oh,
Caroli.
got excited.
Although I don't think there's any relation. But so in this movie, which is 2018's Netflix Christmas movie release, when they watch The Christmas Prince, that was the movie from the year before, 2017. In The Night Before Christmas, Vanessa Hudgens' character, which we did the night before Christmas, but she mentions taking a trip to Aldova, which is actually the fictional country in The Christmas Prince, the fake movie they watch in this movie, connecting
my
those
God.
two films. Now, on top of that, in this movie, we established that A Christmas Prince is the favorite film of the main character. Now, so what we've established so far is that A Christmas Prince exists in a real world, in a real country that The Night Before Christmas also exists in. But it is also a movie in this universe where in this movie, at Stacy and Edward's wedding, the camera pans the crowd and a guest at the wedding is wearing the dress from the coronation of A Christmas Prince because Netflix just reused the costume and has reused it in multiple
Todd is
films.
so upset right now.
I pulled my Santa hat down over my eyes. Oh, my
Yeah.
God. Okay. That is nuts.
Yeah. So and
I do love that, like, in this expanded universe, they very much are just like sharing props, sharing costumes,
Yes.
sharing actors even. Like, it's so low budget. It's so great.
well, and so we established last week that A Castle for Christmas also exists in this universe. So there are
Yes.
two parallel royal universes coexisting at the same time that reference each other, but technically don't exist in the same plane of existence. Because this is the thing. I think they're just making references and not caring about the implications. So, like, they essentially have created two different tracks in which Vanessa Hudgens is both a royal and a human in both tracks. It's mind-boggling. It is so crazy.
I do love that, like, in the expanded Netflix Christmas movie universe, A Castle for Christmas is like the Black Widow type movie.
Did you finally watch Black Widow after Mikey and I tried to talk you into it?
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I'm gonna watch it, but I haven't watched it. It's been mainly Christmas movies at my place.
Is it mostly boobs? Is that why?
No, it's because it's like an Avengers movie, but it's just about one character.
Okay.
That's why, like, the Castle for Christmas is about, like, whatever. It just feels like that's the
Okay.
type of movie this is. Anyway.
I think she was asking why it was a Mikey movie, and that's
what I was
because it's
sorry.
nuts.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
nuts. Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. So, according to an article, the airline shown in this film and A Christmas Prince is United Airlines, because United paid Netflix to have their airline be, quote, the official carrier of Belgravia, but also the official carrier of Aldova, both the fake countries in each of the tracks. So United Airlines actually tweeted out a picture of both of these films this year and wrote, our seasonal holiday service to Aldova and Belgravia is here just in time for a royal wedding and a princess switch. As if
Wow.
they are both real places.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. There are multiple references to the Parent Trap in this movie. They did use the same kind of technology to make this one.
Yeah.
The handshake is very, very similar.
Yeah.
And also the moment where she's invited to play the piano at the party is a callback to It Takes Two, a similar film starring Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. And those are your fun facts.
Well, thank you for those fun facts, Paige.
Thank you.
I would normally do box office, but because this is a Netflix movie, I don't have any information about it because they are very sort of tight-lipped about that sort of things. Like, I
They're
could not.
cagey because
Yeah.
they have creative accounting.
That's probably a
Oh,
large
that makes a
portion
lot
of
of
it. Like,
sense,
I couldn't even
actually.
find what the budget was for it.
Yeah, it's not the Gray Man.
$12,000,
Well,
Todd.
no, I've heard people say it's up to $10 million.
That doesn't surprise me.
I haven't seen that anywhere that is, like, substantiated. Like, it's not like,
I'd say it's probably less than that, but I have no way to guarantee it.
I would assume it's closer to 5. I don't know. I
Yeah,
don't have
same.
any actual, like, proof of that. And Netflix has not officially stated either way.
This is what I don't understand, Todd. Here's the thing. If you're making this movie and you're like, we only have $500,000, I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah,
If you go for $10 million
right.
and you're investing it in this, it's like just find someone who can actually write a script, actually direct a film with characters that are like human beings and not bizarre aliens that just landed on this planet and wearing human skin being like, this is how people act. Like, what are you talking about? Like, please just give Paige $10 million so she can make her weird alien movie that slash
Yes,
show.
dude. That
Oh, the TV show.
that plot was
The
nuts.
script is
I loved it.
Fucking incredible.
so
like,
good.
someone give Paige $10 million. We don't need any more of these movies. Like, what are you talking about?
This is just because within reading one episode, you had a crush on a main character. in that
Absolutely.
script.
Yes. He doesn't even exist, and I'm imagining how great his abs look. Like, it's fine. Don't worry about it.
Spoiler alert, it's the same as Kevin's abs in this movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
But that's your box
Yep.
office because I don't really have any. But maybe we should put it on the romance scale, which is a scale of 1 to 10 of how romantic we found this movie. So, Paige, do you want to go first?
This is a 1 for me because of my blind rage at the baking mistakes.
Oh, you came in hot with that. I could tell like we were going to talk a lot about baking within the first 3 minutes of this. So, yeah, you clearly had some thoughts about it.
I'm going with a 1 as well because I don't think any of those pairings had any real chemistry. I think it was just like super bizarre. Like Vanessa Hudgens is objectively hot. Absolutely, yes. But like,
Disagree.
And charming. She's charming.
you don't think Vanessa Hudgens is a hottie?
She's not my type.
All right.
I get that she's pretty, not my type, you know?
She's super pretty.
Yeah.
But there's just no emotional chemistry between the characters. There's seems to be no reason why they're connecting or why they're falling in love, quote unquote, other than Kevin's shirt was unbuttoned. Like, it really doesn't make any sense.
I do love how, like, part of your explanation as to how they might have fallen in love is that his shirt was just unbuttoned. And, you know, ladies, that happens when you see abs.
Yeah.
That go all the way down. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, that little V to the...
I believe they are called cum gutters.
Yeah, cum
Yes.
gutters. Yeah.
Look, we get it. There are objectively hot people in this film, but they
Yes.
display no chemistry or real emotional intimacy in a way that would make me believe they're in love. So, like, no.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to give it a 1 as well, but mainly because one of the male characters that's supposed to be romantically connected to a Hudgens is clearly just into his grandma.
Yeah.
So didn't really do it for me.
But here's what you don't know is that Gilf Island 14 exists in this same film universe because it takes place in an island off the coast of Belgravia.
But Paige, if the prince figures out time travel, he's going back to like have sex with his grandmother for sure.
Yeah, then it just becomes the German TV show Dark is what it is.
Oh, I don't know that show, but it sounds dark.
Dark is amazing for the first 2 seasons, and then the 3rd season shits the bed. But the first 2 seasons are fucking phenomenal.
Okay.
I hear the new show that the creators of Dark just came out with also slaps, but I haven't seen it.
I have not been able to commit the amount of attention to it that I need to, because that's the thing with those shows.
I
is
can't
like,
second screen those shows because you have to read along.
You
Yeah.
have to pay attention. Yeah.
But that's your romance scale. So this week, Paige, you made us all watch A Princess Switch.
Correct.
And next week, it's Mikey's turn. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Mikey wasn't here this episode because we literally recorded on Christmas Eve and he was with family, which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
He'll be back next week. And I think, although we haven't checked with him, Paige, so we might have to re-record this, but I think his pick is definitely going to be City of Angels.
City of Angels.
So your homework for next week is to get wine drunk and then bust into an operating room and watch Meg Ryan perform surgery.
Correct.
And then also watch City of Angels. I think that's what he said happens, right?
I think so, because I have not seen it. I just
haven't
know
seen
that
it
it's
either.
Nicolas Cage, so I'm ready for madness.
I just remember that it's an insane film that I watched a few minutes of and I was like, what the fuck?
Great.
It's very much like your Denzel film that you guys just covered.
Preacher's Wife?
And that's when he brought it up. So that makes sense.
Yeah, where it's like they're just an angel or whatever, but they want to fuck women. And you're like, what is happening? Angels don't have genitalia, but whatever.
Yeah.
But like as a guy who's into women, I get it.
Look, as a young woman who didn't understand her own sexuality and drew a lot of shirtless men with angel wings in the late 90s, I get it as well.
Every one of them had Kevin abs that went all the way down.
They did. And spiky hair, Todd. Oh my God. And like a chain with a cross. Don't worry about it. It's fine.
It sounds like you were drawing Kevin Federline in the early 2000s with angel wings.
Literally, it was like shirtless angel boys with chains and horses. That's like my whole sketchbook as a child.
And you had no idea that you were queer. It's a miracle.
It is a miracle, actually. It's such a miracle. There's a lot going on that young Andrea didn't know about herself. Anyway.
Glad you figured it out. So, Andrea, on that note, thank you so much for guesting on Romancing the
this
Pod.
is really fun. I love you guys.
Well, yeah, we love you too. Will you tell everyone where they can get more of Andrea if they want more of you?
If you want more of this hot slice of apple pie, you can
Her
find
abs
me.
go all the way. Never mind.
All the way down.
I have no abs. I've never had abs. I have what I call a cream puff, which is that little cute fupa in front. And I get it from eating cream mostly because I'm from the Midwest.
I get it because cream puffs are delicious.
Because cream puffs are delicious. Yeah, so if you like my voice, you can find me. I have another show with my very funny friend Katrina Davis and Jordan Lee Williams, and it is an art history podcast where we cover both the bastards of art history and women who we just forgot about or ignored. So it's actually pretty cool. It's
It
very
is great.
story based. Yeah, it's a good time. Even if you're not like super into art history, if you want to hear about how Lisa Frank's cocaine-riddled husband stole most of her fortune, you can listen to that episode.
Devastating story.
I was about to make a Lisa Frank Trapper Keeper joke when you were talking about your angel sexy man doodles.
Yeah, no, it's very Lisa Frank era. She was kind
Yeah.
of my idol, and then like digging into her life story and her
So
horrible
sad.
parenting is very upsetting. So listen to that episode if you want to know more.
It's called Podvantgarde. I don't know if you said it.
I did not. I
Okay,
should have.
yeah.
Yeah, it's called Podvantgarde. So that's PODVANTGARDE.
Yeah, pod like the band. And then, sorry.
We are.
Yes, you got it.
Art History Podcast. Yes.
Yeah, so you can listen to that, find us on all the social media, and then I'm also individually, I'm an artist. That's my job. So if you want to support me in that, I have a Patreon, but you can find me on Instagram at Andrea Guzzetta, or AndreaGuzzetta.com is my website if you want to look at my art.
Paige and I both own art you have created.
I painted Paige's face.
Yes.
You painted my face, so I own my face. And then a couple years ago, I bought an original for my mom. And then my dad bought some stuff from you this Christmas. I don't know
Yeah.
what he bought, but we'll find
Oh,
out.
yeah, I did
Find
that
out
hummingbird
tomorrow.
for your mom.
So, yeah, guys, if you like this power throuple that we have here on this podcast, make sure to check out our other podcast, The Horror Virgin. And that is the only other podcast that Mikey and I are on. But Paige gets around, and she is on 2 other podcasts, Black Card Rehab and Cult Podcast. So, guys, definitely check out those because they're amazing. If you want to follow us on social, we are at Romancing the Pod Show
Yes.
on Instagram, and we are at something else on Twitter who I just have never taken the time to learn it.
It's just Romancing Pod Show because they have a character limit and it's show SHO like Showtime.
So guys, check that out as well. And if you want to follow us all individually, Paige is at Rampage Wesley everywhere, including TikTok, except for Twitter, where she is at Paige Wesley. Mikey is at MRandolph24, and I am at Todd J. Awesome everywhere. And guys, we got a P.O. box. So if you want to send us some love letters or whatever you might send to a P.O. box, it's actually not a P.O. box. It's like a regular street address. It's pretty awesome. It's 6688 Nolensville Road, number 108-34, Brentwood, Tennessee 37027. So send us some stuff.
Yeah.
That's going to be it for us. I'm Paige.
I am almost Mikey, aka Andrea Guzzetta.
And I'm Todd.
You complete us.
To
To
completion.
completion.
It's weird when someone says it along with you. I'm hearing it now. I apologize for having said that for 127 episodes.
No, it's all good.
Bye, Gilf nerds.